going to start our meeting. This is the Calexico City Council / Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority regular meeting. If we could have a roll call, please.
Councilman Escobar?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pacheco?
Here.
Mayor Hurtado is absent. Councilman Real?
Here.
Councilman Hodge?
Here.
Attendance noted.
Thank you. Muchos vienen a quejarse sobre el uso del agua y el propósito. Esa se va a discutir ese artículo de las 6:30. Esta junta de las 5:30 es para discutir otros asuntos. Pero a las 6:30 vamos a discutir el agua. ¿Está bien? Now, is there anybody here that would like to make a comment on anything else?
Yeah, just related to that, al mismo tiempo, si hay una persona que no se puede quedar hasta las 6:30 y quieren votar en opuesta el tema del agua y el drenaje, también atrás tiene unas formas para que uno puede votar en oposición. Si entonces uno no se puede quedar hasta las 6:30, pero quiere la oportunidad de votar, sería bueno que voten ahorita para asegurar que el récord refleja que están en oposición.
Otro detalle, si están opuestos, tiene que estar escrito, por escrito. Porque si vienen a hablar, ¿no? Tomamos lo que dicen, pero esto es lo que va a contar, diciendo, yo nego, no quiero, estoy opuesto. Una forma, tenemos una forma si le gustan llenar ahí atrás. Public comments are for closed session items right now. I'm just trying to alert the people that at 6:30 we have the regular session city council meeting and we will discuss the water and sewer rates at that time. Right now it's closed session items. Ms. Favela.
But we were just informed, because I asked her if we needed to also turn in a letter along with the opposition, and she said that was either or. So now, do you have to turn in a letter?
Yes. Yeah, we did some sort of written.
I already did the form.
The form is on the
Explain it.
You don't need to be present. Si tenemos la forma para notificar que no están a gusto, no están conformes, no están opuestos, esto indica lo que se va a contar. ¿Ok? Sí, tenemos que tener eso por escrito. Son las reglas. Is there a comment from anybody for closed session items, please?
For closed session, I'm here to invite the council. We're going to award Senator Ben Hueso and Assemblyman Garcia the Kennedy Award. They helped us, they have been helping us for a lot, and as you know, they were members. They actually came to the meetings, their office, and we just wanted to invite you.
It's the feedback. Somebody adjusted
Bueno, lo voy a hablar en español. Javier González, Dr. Hernández. Estoy aquí representando a Kennedy Gardens y al Calexico Health and Safety Coalition. No sé si se dieron cuenta, hace poquito tuvimos una feria del árbol y del planeta. Fue la primera en Calexico. Vino en el helicóptero. Estuvo muy bonito, mucha gente no se dio cuenta. Estas ferias se van a estar llevando a cabo porque es muy importante en Calexico. Ya ve que estamos en corto con la policía, las ambulancias, no hay árboles, todo eso. Pues estamos llevando esto a cabo y estuvimos muy alegres porque la alcaldesa nos dio casi 30 awards a todos los que participaron. Queremos motivarlos, pero nosotros de Kennedy Garden vamos a estar dando el Kennedy Award. Es un award que no lo damos mucho, se lo vamos a dar al senador Hueso y al Assemblyman García, porque ellos no nomás han peleado mucho por el ambiente, en el Salton Sea, por el New River, pero estuvieron con nosotros, todos los de cada junta estuvieron aquí y venimos a invitarlos, a invitar al concilio. No tenemos la fecha, pero cuando la tengan los vamos a hacer saber y nomás eso venimos a invitarlos, dejarles saber y vamos a darle gracias a ellos y a los otros servidores públicos porque siempre los criticamos, yo soy el primero, pero hay que darle las gracias también. Estuvo aquí el señor Escobar también con nosotros en las juntas y el señor John Redison. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Javier. Any other concern for the good of the order for closed session items?
Hi, this is Jun. My name is Jun Kim. Voy a hablar con español. Primero, muy decepcionado, concilio. Hoy va a tener hearing, no tiene interpreter. ¿Qué pasó? Aquí mucha gente no habla inglés. Usted ha intencionado bloqueando de gentes y cambiando horas. Closing items, number 2. ¿Cuánto tiempo usted debe gastar dinero? Abogados y abogados. Yo creo que más que $2 millones en ese caso. Es una venganza de unos concilios, miembros del concilio. Usted haciendo este tiempo todo el desastre de ciudad. Tantos millones de dólares gastando por eso. ¿Cuándo va a terminar ustedes? Ustedes no su dinero, por eso ustedes poniendo que lo que sea. Pero eso todo los tax money.
Police issues. Thank you, Mr. Kim.
Por favor, cuídalo, que se puede rápido. Esto para lo mismo, ustedes $1 millón más pagando ahorita con seguridad. Es toda la culpa de ustedes, no hicieron bien trabajo. Gracias.
Tomamos comentarios, pero si van a decir algo negativo, no vamos a dejar ustedes hablar. Si vienen a decir algo que nos corresponde aquí, por favor díganos. Pero si van a tirarnos con... Pero no. Si es lo que es, pues, por favor, pero mantengan orden y nos vamos a gritar sobre allá atrás. ¿Está bien? Está bien. Perfecto.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone, this is public comment for closed session items. Este tiempo de hablar es para temas que están en la agenda sobre los casos de litigación que están. No es el tiempo correcto de hablar de temas afuera de eso. Hay tiempo, pero no es ahorita para eso.
No es el tiempo del agua.
No, eso
No, a las
todavía.
6:30 es la
6:30,
hora.
sí. Entonces, sí, y también es mejor para que se pongan esos comentarios en el récord. Ahorita no es parte de ese tiempo ahorita. Gracias.
This is for
No,
closed
sir.
session items.
Closed session.
Can I have
For
a question?
negotiations.
I'm sorry, I have a question, and
Yes.
I arrived late, so I missed something, because I left another meeting early, because my water bill said that the meeting was going to be at 5:30. So was it changed?
There was an
or
error. I'm
what's that-
sorry, there was an error.
Well,
It'll be for 6:30.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Oh, my
because
gosh.
everybody,
Yes.
everybody
thought
was
it
here because the
5:30.
meeting stated it was at 5:30. That's the reason why you have these people trying to speak on the water. You don't change the rules this
That's a-
late.
That's okay.
Pretty big
That's
mistake.
Okay. We'll face the bullet. Yes, come on in, please.
No, it says regular session, 6:30.
Okay, all right. Okay.
No, it's,
Yes, thank you for allowing us to,
I
Thank you,
personally just
thank you
found
so
out
much
about
for allowing us
this.
to speak here.
Yeah.
And
Can
would
we
like
give
to
him
ask
the
something
microphone
positive.
so he can go to the front?
And I know it's very important for us to,
Go to, sir, we're gonna give you a microphone so you can come and speak in the front, please.
sure, thank you. Better get over here. Thank you so much.
need help?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your name, sir?
Alex Peroni, Honorable City Council. Because of your, mistake, I think you should table this item because a lot of people showed up at 5:30 in protest and they left because of the hot weather. Nobody wants to go out of their house. They made that effort to come and protest against this. So I believe it's not fair and it's not legal. Les digo que me parece deberían de cancelar hoy la junta porque no es correcto que citen a las 5:30, que vino mucha gente a protestar contra la subida del agua y cambian la junta a las 6:30. No es legal, porque si te citan es una carta oficial de un municipio. Si te citan a una hora, a esa hora debe ser la junta. Entonces se cambió y mucha gente se fue. Entonces, mande. Sí, era y la hora la cambiaron a las 6:30. Entonces, mucha gente que llegó temprano se fue. Entonces no van a poder protestar. Entonces, I ask that the Honorable City Council, Mr. Hodge, Mr. Real, Mr. Pacheco, and Mr. Escobar, that you consider this because it is not legal to change it. And you have legal counsel there, and he can very well confirm what I'm saying, because people need to have proper notice, and there was not proper notice given.
I have a question for the attorney. I would, okay.
I mean, unfortunately it happened. I'm not sure how that happened, but legally, because it's set for before the meeting, you could still move on that item. If it was set for later the night, so you cannot act on the item before it was noticed. And unfortunately, it was noticed for the improper time, but you could still move forward on the item. If you
Okay, my understanding is it's legal to move forward, but ethically, I personally don't think it is. That's a different issue. I think the people here should be able to speak and tell us exactly what they feel. And that's my personal opinion. I would make a motion to continue the item if somebody wishes to.
Yeah,
To
correct.
follow me.
Council can make that decision. If that's the way the council wants to go, the proper time to do that would be, because right now the item's agendized for the 6:30 part of the meeting, so at that point in time, we would open the public hearing, and then we'd have to continue to a date certain.
Nomás para decirles en español, personalmente lo que nos dice el abogado es que podemos continuar con el tema, sino que yo siento que no es, posiblemente legalmente sí se puede, pero no pienso que es ético por lo que ha sucedido. Entonces no sé de quién fue la culpa que se citó a las 5 y no se siguió esa hora. Pero ni modo, ya lo pasado, ¿cómo podemos hacer otra junta para que sí puedan venir y tener este public hearing? Yo estoy haciendo una moción que lo pasemos a otra fecha. No sé si aquí mis colegas me quieren.
Second.
Mr. Dale, what do we have? Could we have a special meeting just for this item?
Yeah.
Este tema solamente, en una agenda.
We could keep in mind that when we knew that this error was in there, we had someone here to take all of the written comments. And the only thing that matters in this hearing is written comments. Public comments, oral comments do not have any other than influence on the council. It's only written comments. And we had someone here taking all the written comments. In fact, we provided them a form. So when they got here at 5, we gave them a form. They could fill it out and leave it for you.
What do we do?
I second the motion.
I'll third it.
All right, call for a question. Those in favor of
The motion is to
Cancel.
continue, which means that we'll bring it up either at the next city council meeting, or if you want, we
And
can
we'll
do.
okay, let's get a motion, that way we know direction, but we'll need to formalize it at the 6:30 meeting, 'cause that's where it's agendized. And then we would need to continue to a specific meeting date. We need to
Okay.
know that.
Okay, at 6:30.
Aye.
Okay.
You continue, it'd be a continued public hearing. We're not, yeah, just the item itself, so we would, yeah, so we can take a vote now, and then we know the direction, but then we still have to do another one at 6:30.
reassign the date.
Correct.
We want to move to another date so we can make everything on
So
the
that the
open.
people can have their input.
We would just need to know the date, right?
Our next meeting is on June 27th.
That was a budget meeting, correct? We want to do both, I think? Or we want to do it the first week of, first Tuesday of July?
No, we want to do it prior to.
So then we do it July 27th?
Okay, but wait a minute.
Matt, you want to amend your motion so that's June 27th? So I can say,
Sure, I'll rescind my motion and make a motion to continue this item until June 27th. What time? 6:30 PM.
No closed session items.
If we,
La moción es cancelar esta junta, es esta sección para el 27 de junio.
27 de junio.
El 27 de junio y tomar este tema en ese tiempo, para darles más tiempo que era el motivo
6:30.
es 6:30.
Ahora, el
Los
único...
comentarios no van a contar, lo que va a contar es lo escrito, eso es lo que va a contar. Si traen 20 personas y van a hablar, eso no va a contar. La forma y su firma va a contar.
Now,
Okay.
I have a question though. As far as the notice going out through the water bill, we won't make it on time, right? To send it to all the other
is that an issue,
residents?
Carlos?
no, I mean, we provided Prop 218 notice. If by, I'm going to formalize during the regular meeting, we'll open the public hearing, continue it to the meeting of the 27th. The water bill, that's not required
Okay.
by law, since the notice has already been.
Is there
provided.
any type of requirement we need to put it on the newspaper again, something like that?
Not,
Because
What page?
Because literally we're canceling a public hearing, which means that to make another public hearing, we should put it on the
agenda.
paper or
We're just
something
gonna-
again,
I mean,
right?
you could legally by you
just-
continuing it during the
Regular
open-
protocol, right?
The-
Regular protocol.
You could, I mean, legally, what's required, though, what's legally just required is you open a public hearing on this item, and you continue to a date certain. And that legally is what's required. You could go out and provide additional notice in the paper, water bills, that's additional, but legally, what's required is continuing it during the
Just
public
fine.
hearing.
So my motion is
There's a motion on to continue this meeting on the 27th to discuss the water rate, the water
The
changes,
item.
the item. 6:30.
Tenemos preguntas de esta forma. Aquí nomás hablando agua, wastewater. No tiene aquí basura.
No,
Separate.
that's all it is. Water,
The rate.
the water rate.
The-
Solamente el agua.
The trash was
Y
correct.
esa parte, eso es aparte. Aparte. That's for 6:30.
That's a different issue.
That's another problem. Another item. No. But we're discussing the water. Están aquí por el agua. Okay, well, call for the motion, please. Is there a motion was made to have the meeting on the 27th? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Okay.
Closed session.
Okay.
Sí, claro. Sí. No tienen que regresar si ya tenemos una forma con su firma. Sí. No tienen que estar presentes. Tenemos la forma, su firma, eso cuenta. ¿Ok? Vamos a avisarles de una manera, de la Junta.
No. Todos son trucos aquí, Kim.
outside that they're now telling them to fill out the form and protest. Nobody knows, I have to tell them what to do.
Okay,
Somebody needs to advise them.
okay. Okay,
They're all in protest.
okay. Oh, no. Señora. Excuse me.
Oh, boy. I love this.
Excuse me.
Son otros dos temas, sí. Son
Testing,
dos
testing.
temas más.
We need some order.
Sí. Ok. Okay. We've canceled this meeting. Lo tenemos el 20. The water meeting is for the 27th. El 27. Lo vamos a reunir junio el 27 para discutir este tema.
A las 5.
Make it earlier.
Why 6:30?
Could I,
No, you'll have to come at 6:30 for that one, Mr. Kim.
could I have 30 seconds? I mean, I was standing out here. All right. I'm asking, well, what I read on that memo you guys send out there, it doesn't actually say what's the percentage of people that have to vote for this not to go by, right?
That's correct.
I mean, how am I going to know that I need 10,000 excuse me. If there's 10,000 people that are signed to vote, and you don't tell them what you need for this not to pass, it's kind of weird and odd that they don't know. I didn't know. I showed up because they said that, hey, you know, you got to go because it's going to be this. But they never told me that at 10,000, out of 10,000 people, 5,000 people need to show up for automatically to be, you know, disregarded.
We will somehow include that in the next flyer that's going out. We'll make an honest effort to put that in.
Okay, but my other thing, just the second one, is that I've been a resident of Calexico here for the last 63 years, right? I retired 3 years ago. I just want you guys to look at it as an incentive not to go as high as 5% per year for 4 years. I mean, if you're retired, you're all set with a certain income. So you got to look at that. I mean, you guys are not looking at the very end of the road, you know. You just look at I understand that there's like there is increasement of wood and whatever you want to buy. But God, I mean, you got to be at least have that little honesty on you, you know, that you can't do that. I mean, just because I don't know, money's been coming in for water that sometimes we don't even use, you know, but I'm not putting it out there. I'm not pointing fingers at nobody. I know you guys are respectable councilmen, but you got to figure it out that if you have a heart to see it, that serve people out here, I'll bet you a lot of these people here, probably 90% of them are on a fixed income. You know what I'm saying? It's not like El Centro or Brawley where the whole thing is over there, not here. Look at 2nd Street. Look at 1st Street. You ain't got enough people coming down here at all. I mean, I'm sorry, but I love my city, but you got to look at it one way. We all got to benefit out of this.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, can I say speak?
Mr. Dale.
Yeah, I would like to just clarify the proposed rates so all you all understand what we're trying to do. We are proposing a 5% revenue increase, but the entire rate structure is changing. So currently you are billed for 30, what we call units. A unit is 750 gallons.
Lo que está explicando el señor Deo es lo siguiente, que el 5% que se está refiriendo es en base a una estructura diferente de cobro a la cual existe ahorita y es el cual ustedes están pagando.
So now you have the opportunity to save money on your bill by using less water. So I have a number of people that come to me that say, I cannot save any money on my water bill because no matter what, you're charging me for 30 units.
Lo que se está proponiendo es de que dependiendo del uso de agua que ustedes tengan cada mes, en base en eso, esa es la tarifa que se va a cobrar por el uso. Ahorita, como ustedes saben, lo que se les cobra es por un uso fijo, que a lo mejor muchas veces ni siquiera llegan ustedes a ese número, pues, de galones utilizados.
So now you will have the opportunity, if you use less water, we have a lot of senior citizens that use 5 units, 6 units, you will actually pay less than you're paying now.
Dame un segundito nomás y ahorita tu comentario nada más para lo que él comentó se pueda transmitir en español. La gran mayoría del consumo de unidades, la gente de la tercera edad, algunos otros residentes, es menor a lo que ustedes ya pagan ahorita. Entonces, en realidad puede que exista, dependiendo del consumo que tengan, un ahorro mensual a lo que ustedes ya pagan.
And I want to be clear. This is not the city council bringing this. This is me. This is the rates that I see that needs to be charged to provide you the service that you deserve.
Lo que se está proponiendo es en base a los servicios que van a derivar en base a lo que ustedes pagan por agua. Entonces, ahorita se hacía el comentario por el compañero que está aquí enfrente acerca cómo hay ciertas deficiencias que a la luz pública todos vemos, pero a raíz de esto que se está poniendo en curso, donde ustedes tienen la oportunidad de brindar su opinión, ese tipo de cuestiones son las que se están viendo para mejorar.
Every year, our costs go up at least 2 to 3%. And so if we don't raise our rates at least 2 to 3% per year, we won't have enough funds to provide you the service, water service that you need.
Como todo sube. La inflación nos afecta a todos. La cuestión aquí es la siguiente, o sea, el gasto de operar y de brindar el servicio también cuesta. Y ese es el que no se ha incrementado. Entonces la idea es, si todo cuesta más, el servicio que también la ciudad brinda para poder proveer ese servicio también sube. Entonces tiene que ser equitativo, tomando en cuenta lo que ya les dije, que la estructura de cobro será diferente a la que ustedes ya conocen en este momento.
At this moment, we are having at least four water breaks per week because of the water system is 60 to 70 years old, and we need to replace that water system. Okay. Yeah.
Lo que se comenta aquí es, obviamente la infraestructura hidráulica también ocupa repararse. Estamos teniendo ahorita, como comenta el señor Dell, al menos 4 llamadas por semana en donde hay algún tipo de fuga, y eso tiene que ver con el sistema de drenaje que tiene que actualizarse también y renovarse. Deme un segundito para contestar tu punto que hiciste ahorita. Entonces, parte de lo que va con este tema de discusión es una presentación en donde específicamente se toca el tema de lo que tú propones, y yo imagino el resto de la comunidad quiere saber específicamente en qué se va a ver reflejado, por qué el costo y por qué todo lo que conlleva este proyecto. Exactamente, y ese es el fin del por qué ahorita el concilio, para poder darle la opinión a todos, a toda la comunidad, de poder presenciar esos números y esa presentación, es el por qué queremos, o sea, ya se aceptó la confusión que existió, ¿no? Y entendemos también, como todos, que dejamos de hacer ciertas cosas para poder estar aquí presentes por la importancia que tiene este tema. Es por ello que queremos brindarles la oportunidad de la manera como ya el vicealcalde Pacheco comentó.
Miguel, yo también quería comentarte, porque hablan con medios chiles, no hablan así claros, que dicen que va a bajar. Sí, va a bajar para una persona, pero aquí hay muchos que tienen familias. Para ellos no va a bajar. Muchos que riegan sus jardines, para ellos no va a bajar. Entonces sí, para una persona sola, una persona de la tercera edad, que no utilice mucha agua, pero aquí Calexico está compuesto de muchos, de familias, entonces a todos ellos les sube el agua. Entonces hay que hablar, ¿verdad? Y decir, hey, pues mira, a esta persona si está sola, no le va a subir, pero ustedes que tienen 2 o 3 de familia, les va a subir.
Eso es justamente, Alex, es un excelente punto. Y hace unas semanas, cuando inicialmente, como todos sabemos, primero se hace una presentación inicial, después de ahí es cuando se pegó aquí la propuesta en cuestión de la tarifa nueva que se va a cobrar, Entonces lo que se va a hacer de nuevo es lo que ya se presentó y a lo mejor la mayoría de la gente aquí no tuvo la oportunidad de ver, donde se tocan los temas que tú dices, tomando por ejemplo en promedio el número de personas que viven en cada casa y el consumo promedio que tienen esas personas dependiendo el número de personas que viven ahí, si es una persona, una familia sencilla.
No a medio Chile,
Correcto,
no bonito.
correcto, no,
Que sepa Calexico,
así es.
que aquí a cada persona, mira, el año pasado, hace 2 años, lo suben los impuestos, los prediales. Es la ciudad que paga más impuestos sobre compras. Digo, cada vez más a un pueblo que a veces batallamos para recursos, se lo sube y lo sube. Hay que considerar, hay que ser equitativos, ver lo que hacen el resto del Valle Imperial, ¿verdad? No nomás, hay que subir, no, el pueblo no debe pagar por errores que se hacen.
Estas medidas, en vez de embellecer la ciudad, la vamos a perjudicar porque los jardines van a estar secos, de por sí que hay un desorden en la ciudad, hay camiones que se meten es un desorden, la verdad.
Ciudad Calexico tiene mucho dinero de que Juan ahorita tiene mucho dinero contado, ahí está. ¿Por qué usted mencionando para repararlo? ¿Por qué no usando ese dinero para repararlo todos los tubitos? Y luego, aquí con nosotros, más que $100 pagando, esta otra ciudad, $56. 15 para agua, 15 para sewer y $15 para basura. ¿Y qué pasa con nosotros?
One more point I would like to make before we go back to closed session is that even with these proposed rates that we are asking, is that the city of Calexico will still be paying 10 to 15% less than the nearest city around our area in this entire county.
Aquí el punto es el siguiente, podemos seguir debatiendo de esta manera, pero yo creo que ni siquiera es justo para ustedes porque no van a tener la oportunidad ni el foro de expresarse como nosotros debemos de darle la oportunidad de hacerlo. No, por supuesto que no. Aquí no se va a votar nada sin considerar la voz y el voto, como ya se explicó legalmente, de todos los residentes que tengan la oportunidad de hacerlo. El señor Deal hace un comentario ahorita que también se tiene que discutir y presentar en donde esta tarifa comparada con todas las otras ciudades en este valle, exactamente es aún más bajo, pero podemos seguir especulando así de esta manera, pero no es la manera ideal ni indicada para ver las cuestiones que comenta el señor Perón y el señor Kim. Entonces, les agradecemos por favor la oportunidad de hacerlo de la manera correcta.
Okay. Vamos a tomar sus comentarios el 27. Tenemos el 27 ya citado para esta junta. Tenemos que seguir con nuestras juntas y nuestras agendas. Muchísimas gracias y gracias por sus comentarios, pero como les digo, por escrito, por favor. Tiene que ser por escrito.
Por favor.
Avísenles a sus vecinos las quejas por escrito. No estoy de acuerdo, no me gusta, no quiero. Jorge Gómez, 312 calle Rosemont. Está bien, Jorge Gómez. 1, 2, 3. Por escrito. Thank you. Closed session items, please. We'll have our closed session after our meeting, so a little change there. So this is a regular session agenda meeting for the City of Calexico and the Redevelopment Successor Agency. If we have call to order, please. Roll call.
Mayor Hurtado is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Pacheco?
Here.
Councilmember Escobar?
Here.
Councilmember Hodge?
Here.
Councilmember Real?
Here.
We have a quorum, sir?
Can the city clerk lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Ready? Begin.
Dale, would you lead us into our mission statement, please?
City of Calexico mission statement. Together, we pledge to provide effective and efficient services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community. Viva Calexico.
Thank you. Is the invocation, is anybody here?
Yes. Reverend Alonso?
Would you remain standing, please?
Let us bow our heads in attitude of prayer. Vamos a bajar las cabezas en actitud de oración. God, you are a God of all nations, all languages, and all peoples. And this evening, there is a lot of decisions that need to be made on behalf of your people, on behalf of this community. And therefore, we ask that your presence will be felt here, that your peace will abide in every heart that has gathered here, that respect will be shown to each other, and that you will take control of every single heart that has gathered here this evening. Dios, tú eres el Dios de todos los pueblos, de todas las naciones, de todas las personas. Y sabemos que hoy van a tomar decisiones aquí que son muy importantes para esta comunidad. Te pedimos que tu presencia se haga sentir en los corazones de todos los que van a participar aquí. Que podamos sentir tu paz y que podamos mostrar respeto uno al otro, pensando primero en el bien de la comunidad. We ask everything in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. En el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y el Espíritu Santo. Amén.
Thank you. Thank you. These proceedings may be viewed through the website www.calexico.ca.gov on the following Friday. Is there going to be approval of the agenda, please?
I wanted to make a motion to bring up the item that the majority of people here are for, which is, I believe, item 7, which is,
On the warrants?
no, not item 7, it's item regarding, 16, I'm sorry, regarding the trash.
And your concern was for that one?
Well, most of the people are here to, I believe, for that item, is that correct?
You want to bring it forward?
Yeah. 16 and 17. If not, that's not going to happen till about 9 p.m., so
Okay, well,
the majority of the people are here for that, right? Raise your hand if you're here for that item. Agua, okay. Drenaje, okay.
Mr. Campos, can we digress and go to those items? And
Correct. We'll just take a motion to amend the agenda to move up items 16 and 17.
I'll make the motion to amend the agenda and bring item 16 and 17 up.
Second. Call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
We're going to open now the public hearing, and we're going to address the item of, well, Mr. Campos. Mr. Campos, can we address all items at this time? We'll do the 15 first, then 16 and 17.
That's what the city manager was just commenting on right now, so.
Let's do that. Let's not bypass. We're going to start off with number 15. Public hearing is now open, and it's 6:55. Public hearing on the proposed emergency medical services EMS user fee schedule per the EMS rate study dated April 2018, and approval of a resolution of the City of Calexico adopting fees and charges for emergency medical services and making certain findings and taking certain actions related thereto. Do we want to Mr. Day will do the presentation first?
We have a presentation.
Presentation?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, council, staff, thank you for having me back. So the city has been working diligently to prepare the budget, And a lot's changed since our June 6th meeting from my last presentation. So we've gotten some updated salary and benefit schedules. A couple other items have been brought to attention that we've made some revisions to the overall budget, which we've reduced slightly, and in all, we are proposing a reduced fee, roughly 7%. So we did have a PowerPoint ready, but I don't think it's needed. I can go through the items fairly quickly, but I just want to make sure that the council, everybody is clear of the change and the adjustments. So since the last meeting, the June 6th meeting, we've had a budget update, so that reflects the new assumptions which we are proposing. So a little hit list of items that we have done to adjust the total expenditure budget, which we would be recovering in our fees, are the fire inspector has been removed from the salaries and benefits portion, updated salaries and benefits from payroll since our last meeting. We've removed allocations from other fire categories, which reflect other revenue streams that would reduce the expenditure items. And we've added the retiree health cost benefit to the total cost that needs to be recovered from the fire department budget. So in summary, my proposal to you guys on June 6th, we roughly had a $5.3 million expenditure budget that needed to be recovered based on the EMS transport fees. So we have reduced that budget down to $5 million. And the reason being is the fire inspector has revenue stream that comes in that would actually buy those expenditure fees down. So it reduces what needs to be recovered from EMS transport fees. Additionally, we have excluded any sort of medical supplies from the budget. There is a medical supply user fee list. That's another stream of revenue that would buy that expenditure budget down that needs to be recovered, as well as any sort of maintenance to the ambulances, which we included in the first calculation, the first methodology. But those calculations have been tied into the mileage, the loaded mileage fee, which the EMS charges per mile, and that was on the other set of fee schedules. But that is another stream of revenue that would buy those expenditure costs down, so we've excluded those from the study as well. So in short, since we don't have the graphic available, okay. Sure. So we do have the graphic coming up, which might make it easier to show. But from the fee methodology, nothing changes from our methods of approach. So the number of calls that we've projected are the same from my presentation from the 6th meeting. The hours needed for each call are all the same. The only thing that it really varies is the budget allocation methodology for each call category. So ultimately, those call categories, budget allocations have decreased in a total roughly around close to $400,000. But when you look at the scope, it's roughly only about $100 per fee from the proposed June 6th meeting. So it's roughly a negative, or I wouldn't say negative, but it's a deduction of 7% from the June 6th proposal to what we're proposing to the council tonight.
Could you confirm the 5.399 million that's on page 2 of the report? Does this work?
Yeah.
5.399 million, is that based on how many ambulances in service?
Correct. That's based on the projected 3 ambulances in service.
3 ambulances in
So
service.
there's going to be 2 ambulances in full service, 1 on standby. They all have to be 100% operational. So
Mr. Dale, how long will we take to, if this moves forward, how long will we take to have 3 ambulances fully serviced and available for our community?
So it depends on how long it takes to hire 6 paramedics.
Give me a hypothetical.
2 months?
2 months? No, but we're talking about the assets.
Oh, the assets?
The hard asset needs to be.
The ambulances are ready.
The 3 ambulances are ready.
They're just not in rotation because of the staffing shortage. So that's where we had the projected numbers of added firefighters, if you can recall from the last
So we would go from a
presentation.
rotation of 1 ambulance to a proposed 3 for the city of Calexico.
2 in full service, 1 standby, but they all have to be 100% operational to deploy.
And Mr. Dale, for this to work, we would need 6 additional
Paramedics /
paramedics,
firefighters.
EMS, firefighters slash, so we're looking at 6 to maintain the 2.
Which we've accounted for in all of our assumptions.
The third one would be our neighbor in front of City Hall for now.
Yes, ma'am.
Gold
If you
Cross.
could go ahead and move to slide 5.
We would have 3, 1 would be a standby and 2 would be operational.
1 more back, 4.
Can you confirm the 5.399 again? Sorry for bringing that number up again. I believe I asked you this question a few weeks ago. Historically, we've accounted for roughly 50% of revenue recuperation.
Correct.
That is typical for cities, is that correct?
Yes, roughly for EMS
So it'd be
collection.
realistic for us to assume out of 5.4, we would collect 2.7.
Roughly. It depends. I mean, 'cause this is based on calls logged for 2017. So if your call volume increases by 2, then that revenue collection, we could assume, would increase as well.
I have a question regarding when this amount was calculated, what was the payer mix that you used?
All of our assumptions have been done with the additional 6 firefighters.
No, what payer mix did you use as far as Medi-Cal, customer pay, insurance? How did you calculate the 5.7? Or did you just calculate $1,400 per call times all the calls that you'll get?
Right. We can't assume,
So-
because Medi-Cal, Medicare, there is no set fee. It's based on
But
on service.
It's fair to say that that amount is unrealistic.
Not from the proposed
Unless
rates.
every single customer was customer pay and had $1,400 in their bank to pay.
Well, historically, historically
Yeah, but
speaking,
still 50%. What I'm saying is customer, depending on the payer mix, some, whether it's Medi-Cal, Medicaid, or customer pay or insurance, even if you charge them $1,400 per ride, they say, I pay $600.
Right.
That's all I
But
pay.
again, it's 50%. Right now, we're recuperating, based on current numbers, we're recuperating 50%.
So right now, we're recouping 50%
50%.
right now. The
roughly
savings.
50%
Roughly?
of every dollar. So
now.
we
It's not the
use that.
5.7, it'd be the
So it's
two-
2.7. It's 5.
2.35.
It's 5.4, so we're going to 2, realistically, it'd be 2.7, plus or minus.
Based on the assumed call volume, which was logged for 2017. Now, that call volume could double, and calls responded with the additional ambulance and with the additional firefighters, we're projecting that we could really cover every single call. And from talking with the fire chief, the reason that the call volume responses were low and those calls had to go to Gold Star is due to the lack of staff to run the additional ambulance. More calls responded, ultimately equal more revenue.
And we did have a change on the base rate then. It went from 1,400 to 12 something.
Correct, and that's due to just the reflections of the total expenditure cost that needs to be recovered due to removing the fire inspector out of the loaded salaries and benefits, which is a major driver to our methodology, and that's due to the fire inspector collecting his own fees and revenue stream through actual inspections. So that number would ultimately buy down that expenditure cost, which I represented in that 5.3. If you see in your slide, you can see the top table is from what was proposed on the June 6th, and we're proposing to council tonight the table below, which is the 5 million. So it kind of gives you an idea of where the budget allocation breakdown is. Any further questions with the total budget allocations or call volume?
No, not really.
It's-
Just basically, we're changing our rate from $400 to $1,400. So it's basically
Essentially, if you look at your average rate, so that the
in a
most,
nutshell.
the most volume of calls is the ALS Level 1 emergency, and that went from $499 to now 1410. And that's what it takes to recover those expenditures for the fire department. So, you know, the last time the study was done was 1992. The cost of living has gone up quite substantially.
If I may add also, Gold Cross proposes a $1,900 ride. So if we're not providing that service, the cost will be $1,900.
But all costs are borne from expenditures.
Yeah.
So it's not what we want to charge or what is normal charge. It's what it costs to actually operate and run the department.
Yeah.
Mr. City Manager, how do we compare with these new changes? How do we compare with other cities?
I've actually got that in a slide, and it will give you a graphic to show. So if we can go to the next slide, please. I just wanted to touch on this real quick. This is just a fee comparison from what was proposed on the 6th to what we're proposing tonight. The 6,618 fees are listed there in the first column compared to what we're proposing to council tonight. And you can see where the rate change occurs and then the overall percentage change. So not a lot's changed. It's just we ultimately reduced the total expenditure cost, which needs to be recovered. Not because that cost is not going to be recovered. It's just recovered through other streams of revenue for the fire department. So to avoid double counting, we want to exclude those revenues. Correct. So if you can please click to the next slide. So this is a graphic which shows where you fall, and this is based on just the BLS emergency, which is the most common statewide call category. And you can see where Calexico is, even though we're increasing the fees by maybe 3%, or excuse me, 3 times, you're still the lowest for our comparables. We've used neighboring cities as well as comparable cities to Calexico. But as I stressed, this is not necessarily comparing apples to apples because every city's expenditure budget cost that needs to be recovered is going to vary based on size and programs that they run. And that's going to be it. Any questions?
Thank you. When was our last time we revisited this?
So it was news to us. We got the call back in April, and I think the fire chief discovered that the last time these fees were explored was 1992. So they're very outdated. So thanks to the fire chief, we're showing, and Mr. Dell, we're showing the user fee at roughly above 1,000, where if we showed this graphic current fees, it would be under that $500 mark. So 1992, lots changed with the economy and cost of living, et cetera. So
The internet.
And salaries.
internet.
And salaries. Okay, any questions for the presenter?
I mean, it's a no-brainer that obviously the adjustment needs to be made. I still don't understand the concept. I kind of feel that, and I know that we're charging insurance, but at the end of the day, you know, it's like saying, you know, your car insurance doesn't go up when you have an accident. Of course it does. It goes up not just for yourself but for everybody, right? Because it's a pool.
Mm-hmm.
So I still don't understand. I feel like the 50% that are paying for it are paying for the 50% that aren't. And so in that aspect, it's conflicting to me. But very similar how we're talking about like the water here in the city, where you'll have a 5 or 6 people living in a home, and they pay the same rate as someone that lives alone. And so it's just a matter of like fairness, and that, I mean, I personally feel that we have to do this, because if not, our fire department, you know, they need the funds. So let's get it on. Let's get on with it.
It is what it is.
But I still don't. That concept is still kind of
Legislation for you. So it's, and that's all I can say is, and that's essentially why we know that you're collecting roughly 50% of every dollar. 50
And
cents
the
on it.
reason it's conflicting for me is because I'm thinking more of, Prop 218 where you can't charge more than
Well, exactly.
services.
Prop 218.
This
So-
doesn't fall under that.
Well, it does, essentially, but we can't force somebody to pay. So the user fees is what it is for everybody, assuming everybody was going to pay.
And that would be very similar to half of the people in Calexico not paying their water bill, and then us upping it for the rest. You see what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. I know it's not the same. We're not comparing apples to apples, but
Fees and-
but that's
and-
the way it feels like.
Fees and
We're
assessments
increasing
are-
$1,400 per ambulance trip. And I know it, like I said, it feels like it doesn't affect people because it's their insurance but there's still deductibles and there's still, percentages that they have to pay.
The issue
So-
here is, our options are 1,200 or 1,900, which is what Imperial's doing.
Mhm.
I mean, 1,200,
Ma-
1,900, I mean.
But
Yeah,
once
we're still-
again, these fees aren't increasing to cover what the 50% aren't paying, because the 50% aren't paying regardless what your fee is.
Yeah.
These fees are going up to 1,400 to cover the expenses for.
Do you know of any way that a city can actually hire a collection agency to collect on those fees? Because I
They
think
sh-
we don't do that. My understanding is we don't do that. We are now?
There should be.
We're gonna start. So, but since '92, we haven't done. Imagine
Right.
how much money has been gone because of that hasn't happened.
Some of those, no matter
And-
even in collections, but it's a good way
And
to
ag-
start to recover
Again,
some
hats
of
off to the new
costs.
chief. I don't know how many fire chiefs we've had that should have done this, but
And then
it is what it
keep
is.
in mind that the 50% is industry average, unfortunately. So we're not out of the realm of the industry or the cities.
Okay,
In compliance with Proposition 218.
You want to make a motion?
thank you.
Any further questions?
Is there anybody in the public that would like to address this issue on the EMS? ¿Hay alguien?
Esto es referente a la cotización que se está proponiendo de las ambulancias. No es del agua, no es del drenaje, no es de la basura. Esto es específicamente de las ambulancias. De Calexico. Gracias, Javier.
You went from 500 to 1,400? Is that what you guys are
1,200.
saying?
1,200.
500, 400 and,
Why the big jump?
We haven't made a change since 1992.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is, I just paid a bill for El Centro for my grandson, and they transported him within the city. That only cost $395.
Could you clear
So, you know.
It's a transfer, is
and
one price?
That's why I'm asking, like, why did it go from 500 to 1,400?
No, there's a difference.
That may be the fire department bill you received, and then you're gonna get the ambulance from Go-Kart's bill. Okay. So, I mean, you know, 395 versus 1,400?
No.
That was my question.
Yeah, wait for it, it's coming. Te va a llegar, the new bill. Okay, we're going to close the public hearing and have our own discussions, and then take a vote.
Oh, Leo Rodriguez. Sorry, I didn't take my name.
We're going to close that, and any discussion on this item for the good of the order? Before we take a vote.
I just think we need to take into consideration the fact that we cannot continue to offer the services that we're offering for the $400. And the issue here is, if we go with Gold Cross, it's $1,900 on average, correct?
Correct.
And if we do this adjustment, it's $1,200, not $1,400, $1,200. So those are our options, because we cannot continue at the rate that we're currently charging. It's $1,200 or $1,900. So really, am I correct in that assumption, Mr. Dale?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
It's one or the other.
one or the other.
The proposal is, it's Imperial, current Imperial proposed, that is Gold Cross. And that means we would join the county of Imperial, which again is proposed at 1,900. So it'd be the third bar going from left to right.
Why didn't you get any of the local towns here? If I'm reading correct, there's only Calexico and that.
Imperial County, Imperial County. It's Imperial County, it's not the city of Imperial.
What he's asking is why we didn't use El Centro, Brawley, or Imperial.
The city of Calexico is the
Because
only one
the
that
city of
provides.
Calexico-
Go ahead.
The city of Calexico is the only one that contracts with the actual city, in this case, the fire department, for this service. The rest of Imperial County, El Centro, Imperial, Brawley, Holtville, Westmoreland, Calapat, am I missing any cities? They're all part of the county structure through Gold Cross. Gold Cross provides that service. So again, we go back to the 1,200 or 1,900. That's really the options, unfortunately, that we have at this point.
My only thing is that this is way past due, way past due. I don't know how we survived all these years with that rate, and that's why, part of it, why we're not where we should be in our budgets. But this is well overdue, and I think we need to thank for the city. Mr. Hodge, any comments?
Well, nobody likes to see such a jump in a rate, but I do agree it's way past due, and when you compare to other cities, we're still on the low end. We had that special workshop yesterday. One of the key areas that was pointed out was sources of revenue. And this will certainly be a very important source of revenue for us. Is that correct, Mr. Dale?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we are in hard times. We're trying to climb ourselves out of a hole, and this is one option. So that's my comment.
Okay, we're going to call for the question, Mr. Campos. Call for the question for public hearing on proposed emergency medical services, EMS, user fee schedule per EMS rate study dated April 2018, and approval of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico adopting fees and charges of emergency medical services and making certain findings and taking certain actions relating thereto. Is there a motion to accept
I'll make the
this?
motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Call for the question. Aye?
Aye.
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 4-0, pass. Thank you. We're going to close that public hearing. We're going to address item 16. We're going to open up the public hearing to adopt a resolution adopting fees and charges for water and sewer. Well, yeah, are we doing this the 27th?
We could,
27th.
if it's your pleasure, we could go ahead and give the presentation just
For
as
those that are here.
discussion only, or
Mr.
up.
Campos, just hear it. We're not going to take a vote on it because we rescheduled for the 27th.
Oh, correct. You know, I confused my numbers. Yes, on this item, I thought it was the solid waste rates. According to the action taken earlier this evening, and because of Prop 218 notice that was noticed for today, we're going to go ahead and we've opened the public hearing. We need to take a motion to continue it to the date of June 27th at 6:30.
Sorry.
Is there for the people that are here today, how do we work it so that they can comment on the issue
Yeah,
without us
a public
actually?
hearing, you have the ability to comment one time, so either one, we could take your comments tonight,
Okay.
or we could take your comments at the next council meeting, your preference.
I think the people are here tonight. I say we take their comments, and then
The question is, what can we do legally?
You can take their comments, but they can only comment one time.
okay.
So if you comment tonight, you won't be able to comment next Wednesday at the continued public hearing. At the same time, too, this will extend the time to file any protest votes up until the close of the public hearing next Wednesday as well.
Okay, we'll open it up for discussion only. We won't take a vote on this and allow the public to hear our presentation.
Would you care for the presentation? The consultant is
Let's-
here.
The consultant's here so we can hear a presentation? Thank you. Only a presentation, and you can discuss, but no action will be taken.
Do you want to do the public, do you want to do these first?
Let's hear the, let's hear the.
Yeah, we'll do the presentation first, because that may answer some.
I'm gonna sit down there so I can see it.
I didn't use it.
Here's what it is. Let me take that, let me take that thing off. He's got a. Hay audífonos para los que no entienden inglés. I think we can pick up. Does everybody have earphones? Can you raise your hand si gustan tener? My three favorite ladies. Okay, we're up. This is the consultant that did the study for the new rate.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. I'm Chris Fisher with Wildan Financial Services, and we assisted the city in the water and sewer rate study, the financial study, to develop the new rates. So I'm going to walk through the process that we went through and how we arrived at the numbers. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go over the general purpose of the rate study and an overview of the process of rate setting, and then specifically a summary of the proposed revenue increases for both water and sewer. Show a financial plan summary that details the numbers that went into developing the recommendations for the required revenue. Outline the proposed rates and go over a comparison of those rates with some neighboring communities. We're not going to talk about connection fees tonight. That's, speaking with the city attorney, that's going to be dealt with at a later meeting because of some noticing issues separate to that. So next slide, please.
This is not it.
So the overall purpose of a rate study is to evaluate the sufficiency of revenue for water and sewer utilities to carry out their intended purposes. And that's both their operating, maintenance, and capital costs, to make sure that they can maintain adequate levels of reserve, and there can be reserves for different things depending upon the financial policies, and also to make sure that they can meet legal obligations if they have outstanding debt. They make a covenant at that time to make sure they maintain a certain level of coverage related to that debt, and so we make sure that the revenues allow that to be achieved. Following that analysis and looking at the sufficiency of revenue, we develop rates for water and sewer that, when enacted, will generate sufficient revenue to cover the intended purposes and essentially meet the cost of providing water and wastewater services to residents and customers in the city. Next slide, please. So this is kind of a step-by-step outline of the process that we've gone through. We worked with city staff. This process started back in about February, worked with staff to go through different options in the financial plan and look at options for operating and maintenance costs, for reserves, for capital funding needs, the timing of capital projects, all to try and create the financial plan that minimized the necessity for revenue increases as much as possible, while still meeting the purposes, the stated purposes that I outlined earlier, making sure we collect sufficient revenue for operations, maintenance, capital, and debt service coverage. In April, we presented preliminary financial plans here at Council. My colleague Kevin Burnett was here to do that presentation based on direction received from Council then. Notice of intent was passed to move forward, and notices were mailed out. So today, we're here to conduct a public hearing. The change here, obviously, is we're not adopting any rates tonight, as you've all heard, and as the Mayor Pro Tem made clear. We're just going to hear the presentation and have public comment, and rates will be adopted at a later meeting at the Council's direction. So let's talk first about the water financial plan. Next slide, please. So why is there an increase in water revenue required? And maybe this is the first place to clarify something I heard David clarifying as I walked in earlier tonight. The revenue increase does not necessarily mean a rate increase. Obviously, to get more revenue, you need higher rates, but a 5% increase in required revenue does not translate directly to a 5% increase in rates for everyone. Because we're changing the rate structure, which I'll detail later, there is a very high likelihood that many folks' bills will go down, because now instead of having a high fixed rate with a lot of water, there's a much lower fixed rate and then a volume rate based on how much water you use, so that customers have the ability to reduce their bills if they use less water. With that in mind, the additional revenue is necessary to meet increased operating costs. As I heard Mr. Darrell mention earlier, the rates have not been adjusted since 2009. Costs have continued to go up each year since then, as is the case in virtually every city that operates a water wastewater utility. But rates have not gone up, so we need increased revenue. The city needs increased revenue to cover these operating costs. And one of the specific items there is to pay for the lease of the water treatment plant, the lease for the site of the water treatment plant. And then there's routine repair and maintenance required to keep the system. Obviously has been in the ground, the pipes and all the system components have been in the ground for a long time, so there's periodic routine replacements and upgrades needed to make sure everything stays in good working order. There's also a new clarifying filter system that's been implemented or will be implemented, along with raw water reservoir improvements. Next slide, please. So again, this is the overall required increase in revenue. Again, making that distinction between the rates are not going up necessarily 5%. The utility needs 5% more revenue at the very top line than it had previously, and then 4.5% for the 4 years after that first year. Next slide, please. So a lot of numbers up here. I guess the ones that I think make the most sense to pay attention to, you notice the top line is the beginning cash reserves. The water utility has a pretty healthy cash reserve right now. However, there's a backlog of capital projects necessary to be taken care of. And you see that, so going across that top line, cash reserves, you see the balance starting at a little over 10 million, and then going down negative in the fourth year and even further negative in the fifth year. You see revenue in that second line goes up modestly, and that's just for new accounts, new development, new users hooking up to the system. And you see the total expenses going up. And so that net cash flow, that fourth one from the bottom, you see is red in parentheses, meaning each year without any change, and all these numbers are without any change, the utility will essentially lose money each year. And that cash balance, that year-end cash balance, the next line down, you see gradually goes down from 8 million to 700,000, now negative, and by the fifth year, without any change, the city will have a negative $2 million hole in its cash reserves. And then you can see in the very last line that debt service coverage, that DSC is debt service coverage. That's why I mentioned the city is required by covenant with its bondholders to maintain a 1.2%, meaning they have to have net revenue that's 1.2% more than the debt service they have to pay. And you see by the end that fifth year, they're starting to get down pretty close to that limit, and most cities like to maintain a level closer to 1.5, 1.4. So all of this basically paints the picture that without any change, the water utility is going to be in and a very difficult financial situation at the end of 5 years. So the next slide shows the effect of the change, and you see the beginning cash reserves across the bottom. I won't go through about line by line like last time, but if you look at the net cash flow, the fourth line from the bottom, you see that it starts out low, but then by the last 2 years, the net cash flow is positive. The end of year cash reserves get drawn down in the first 2 years to pay for capital projects and then gradually increase so that there's 1.7 million in cash on hand by the last year, which is above the target reserve amount. And you see the debt service coverage requirement gradually goes up from 1.5 to 2.7 at the end, which is a much more favorable position when the city needs to go out and borrow money for projects in the future. They'll be looked at much more favorably by the capital markets where that money comes from. So what does that mean? So now the proposed rates outlined. So the rate structure, as I alluded to and Mr. Dale outlined a little bit earlier tonight, there is a change in the way that the water rates are structured. So currently, people pay a flat rate, and with that flat rate, they get up to 30 units, which is 700, each unit is 750 gallons of water. So you get 30 times 750 gallons of water a month for a flat rate. And then above that 30 units, then you pay an amount per additional unit of water used. There's a number of reasons for changing that. One, the city wants to have the ability for residents and customers to have more control over their bills. Just as importantly, the state, as anybody who's followed the news over the past 5-6 years, the drought situation in the state has gotten increasingly worse, and there's been direction from the state level to implement rates that encourage conservation of water, that allow people to conserve water and get people to conserve water by the type of rates that allow them to control their bill much more closely. So this type of water rate structure is really not seen anywhere anymore where a large allotment of water is given at a flat rate like that. Most rates, most cities and water districts have rates that are structured where you get a flat fee, and then every bit of water you use above that flat fee is billed at a lower rate. So the change is that minimum charge is replaced with a combination of a monthly fixed charge, which is much lower, and then a rate per unit of water that you pay in addition to that for each unit of water. And I'll show you the numbers here in a second. For non-residential customers, the base charge was flat previously, meaning all customers, regardless of meter size, paid the same fixed charge. The new rates, the base charge is increased based upon the charge of the meter, which is also standard not only across California, but across the country. Next slide, please. So here's the numbers. So if you look at the top row, the top group there is residential customers. And so the current rate, the second column from the left there, you see you pay $43.89, and then then with that, you get that 3,000 cubic feet, the 30 units of water that I mentioned. The new structure, that fixed rate, is $17.24, so less than half of what you pay fixed rate currently. And then for additional residential units, you pay $8.62 flat rate. And then
to clarify how much we would get for $17.24?
You don't get any water for $17.24. That's just a fixed charge.
So zero.
Zero, correct. And then the commercial, manufacturing, and industrial rates are shown below. Based on meter size, you see they were $48.89 for everybody, and now they're starting at $19.11, and they increase based on the hydraulic flow capacity ratios for larger and larger meters. So the next slide will show the amount per unit of water, the volume charge. So now,
Could we go back just let me just do a quick calculation if I could?
yes, sir.
Go ahead, thank you.
So now, in addition to the $17 fixed charge, you'll pay $1.99 per unit of water. So currently, you pay the $43, and you get the 30 units of water, and then you pay $2.20 for each unit of water above that 30 units. Now you pay the $17 fixed charge, and then $1.99 for each unit of water that you use. I'm sorry, what was the question?
What's the capacity? Okay, the $43 is 3,000.
3,000 gallon, yeah, 3,000 cubic feet. Right, yeah.
You're gonna pay more. Yeah. Because in order for you to get the 3,000, you're gonna end up paying like $89.
If you're using 3,000 units of water, that's correct. But again, that's the direction that the state is trying to move everybody. They don't want a rate structure where residents use that much water at a flat rate.
So eventually the state's telling you, you're gonna have to pay this because you're not listening to us. Or you're gonna have to, it's gonna cost you more now because they want you to pay that so you'll know that you're gonna get charged so much that you won't use that water, correct?
That's correct.
In other words, they're kind of telling you, that one, man, you can't do that, this is what I'm gonna charge you now. You better not use more than this water, or it's gonna cost you, right?
They're trying to encourage by pricing to get people to use less water. That's correct.
So that's the whole point, trying to conserve water?
We use only 1%. We use 1% of water.
What? No.
Yes,
No, well,
that's part of it.
Well,
I think you would find the way it is, if you give, this is a flat rate, you say, everybody's paying a flat rate. So we consume that, and you go further, then we pay the consequences, correct?
correct.
So we're conservative, we're not passing, some people are conservative of their own free will. We're not passing what we give us for what we're paying.
But the people who are conserving are paying essentially, so the other point of adopting a rate structure like this is so that the rates more closely reflect the cost of providing the service.
Correct.
So,
Contradicting yourself because everybody's pitching in the full $100. And there's gonna be people that are conserving and paying less.
so they're paying for water they don't use.
Correct, well said. But your projection is you're trying to raise money. You're not gonna raise more money. You're gonna lose money. Because if people are conserving, you're gonna pay less.
Well, also keep in mind that the fixed costs are going up for all of the other users based on higher meter sizes, and the rates have been adjusted so that based on the volumetric flow, the amount of water the city distributes to customers, the customers pay that amount pro rata so that each customer pays the amount based on the amount of water they use.
Correct, so you should be targeting the commercial people, not the residential.
They shouldn't be targeting anybody, but they should be working on, you're a consultant. This is getting out of hand. So we should be looking at a water conservation program for the residents. At one time, the IID provides us with water, started a water conservation program. So I think that's where we start, not backwards. You know, you started your presentation by saying rates will not go up. Yes, it will go up, because you're gonna limit us to using 1,000 cubic feet. Right now, we get 3,000 cubic feet. So, all the usage after the 1,000 cubic feet, we're paying us, and you know, there's families here that water lawns, and in the summertime, bathe three times a day, wash dishes, kids play out. I think what we need to do, I know cities need to take care of their bottom line, but don't let us pay for it. You know, don't be having the citizens of Calexico pay for them. What you need to do when you start consulting, because you get paid, you don't do it for free. It's very easy to say, hey, you know what, we're gonna use this magical form of reading up rates to some people and some people not. Let's make it fair to everyone. But you know, tonight, look at our demographics, our families. Not everybody makes a whole bunch of money. Some make more, some make less. So start by a conservation plan. You know, Calexico started it, Louis, you know, back probably, I would say 16 years ago. It worked. Let's do it. You know, not raising rates. We gotta watch out, you know, raising rates. Again, I tell our city administration, our city council, you know, you raise taxes, you raise fees. You know, recently now we're paying a school fee, they raised another percentage. We're the most taxed city. You know, what I'm asking, consider, you know, your people, you know, your community, on raising the rates again. So, I don't think it's fair. Again, everybody we want, when we don't water our lawns, they look like crap. And you know, we don't like our neighbors that don't keep up the green grass. Now it's gonna be worse. So, look into it, Mr. Consultant. You know, I know you don't make, minimum wage. You make very good money. Okay, that's why they look for you. Now, what I wanna see is conservation plan. Is there a way, even way, not only for the community, the city government needs to see how they conserve water in many ways. Thank you.
We can't have, thank you. If you can have your comments over here, but Mr. Peroni, thank you for your comments. But anybody else, el que quiere hablar, por favor, aquí está el micrófono y no tenemos
Diálogo.
¿ok? So, el que sigue, si tiene un comentario, puede utilizar el micrófono.
We should continue the, I don't know if,
Okay, que termine. Just Mr. Gonzalez, let's finish with the presentation and then we can do that. So if you hold off on your comments and let Chris finish his presentation. Deje que termine y después tenemos comentarios.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Next slide, please. So I'll go through the same kind of outline of the sewer financial plan. So why is an increase in revenue necessary for the sewer utility? The reasons are much the same as they were for water. Operating costs have gone up over the past 9 years without an increase in rates. There's a cost necessary for the lease for treatment plant for the sewer as well. And there are wastewater treatment plant improvements, manhole rehabilitation program, and a lagoon system rehabilitation program as part of the overall plan. So the increases necessary for sewer are the same in the first 3 years, and then they drop down in the last 2 years once those projects are taken care of to 2% per year. So the picture here, it's similar to water. There's a before picture and an after picture. The before picture, you see cash reserves and net cash flow. You see net cash flow being negative the first 3 years, and then positive slightly in the last 2 years, but by that time the cash reserves are down such that they're more than $10 million a year, or $10 million in the hole after the fifth year there. With the change in rates, next slide please. You see that the net cash flow still slightly negative in the first 3 years because of the capital program. You see the cash funded capital there, $2 million, $8 million, and $6 million in those 3 years. But the end of year cash reserves by the end are above the target, and debt service coverage is 1.9%, almost 2%, or 2%. So again, much higher than the requirement, and puts the city in a much better financial position. Next slide, please. So the residential rate structure is updated to a flat rate for sewer, and then also updated to match water. And you'll see the current monthly charge for the first unit is $38. The new charge will be $44, and then increasing slightly to the fifth year. And then you'll see there's no flow component, so the sewer is flat for each year. And I believe the next two slides, I think, are the comparison slides. So this slide shows Calexico's current rate and Calexico's proposed rate. The current rate is the first bar on the left. The proposed rate's the second bar. And you see the proposed rate is still less than the four closest cities, El Centro, Imperial, Brawley, and Heber, even with the proposed increase for water. And this comparison is for a single-family customer with a 3/4-inch meter using 21 units of water a month. So that's a fairly high amount of water. It's not 30 units, it's not what you have currently, but it's still much higher than average. And then the next slide, for sewer, same type of comparison. The proposed rates for Calexico are $10 less than Brawley, and even more less than that compared to Heber, El Centro, and Imperial. And I believe that's the last slide. Yes, we're not going to talk about connection fees, so that's the last slide for the water rate presentation. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and I guess I'll turn it over to you for public comment, or unless you have any questions for me before I sit down.
Mr. Campos, do we, since we're not going to vote on this, and it's just
Correct.
presentation, do we want to take more public comment?
Correct. Just like I noted earlier, if you have a public comment, you can speak, but you only be allowed to speak one, whether it's today or at the
Should we
continued
do
public hearing.
council comments first?
I would maybe, if you have questions of the consultant, ask the questions, either.
I have comments. I have a comment, but not a question.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could either do it now, or sometimes it might make sense to do it after you hear public comments.
would like
address
to
those
do it now,
concerns.
if possible.
Me too.
That's your directive.
Mayor.
Okay.
hear you.
Okay. Real.
Voy a hablar en español, la mayoría yo creo que me va a entender. Primeramente, empiezo con decirles que este problema que tenemos del agua, con todo el respeto de todos los que están aquí, City Manager nuevo, Miguel, mis colegas, yo tengo aquí 3 años y medio. Este problema es algo que tenemos de hace muchos años. Desde, when was the last time we got this study done? 2006?
2009.
2009? So it's been, what, 9 years? 9 years. 9 años que la última vez que hicimos este estudio. Yo personalmente soy una persona que desde que entré ha estado criticando esto del agua. Y la razón que lo he estado criticando es porque a mí no se me ha hecho justo que una persona que iba sola o sean 2 personas paguen lo mismo que una casa de 5 o 6 personas. Nunca se me ha hecho justo eso. De hecho, yo no sabía que eso era posible hasta que entré aquí y miré que esa era la situación. Pero déjales explico un poquito de por qué estamos en esta situación ahorita. Desafortunadamente, vuelvo a comentarles, no es culpa de nadie acá arriba, esto es algo que tiene mucho tiempo pasando. La última vez que hicieron este estudio, hace 9 años, hay algo ahí arriba que se llama Capital Improvements, que son las cosas que va a ocupar la ciudad arreglar o construir en la planta de agua para poder seguir dando servicio a la gente. Desafortunadamente, hace 9 años cuando hicieron ese estudio, incluyeron ahí lo que ocupaban, un water clarifier, todas estas cosas que ocupaban para meter las nuevas. Pero ¿qué pasa? En estos últimos 9 años no hicieron nada. Ese dinero se gastó en overtime y en cosas que no deberían de haberse gastado. ¿Okay? Ahora, ¿qué pasa? Ahora ahora la ciudad lo que está diciendo es, vamos a volverles a cobrar eso que ya les cobramos a ustedes, esas cosas nuevas, porque realmente el dinero se malgastó. Volvemos a lo mismo, no culpa de nadie aquí, esta es una realidad. Los que estuvieron aquí antes o al que le quieras echar la culpa al que estuvo de director, a quien sea. La cosa es que ahorita estas cosas se tienen que hacer, estas cosas se tienen que construir, estos capital improvements se tienen que hacer para que la gente pueda seguir teniendo el agua. Volvemos a lo mismo, Alex, perdón, que dijiste, the citizens always pay. En esta ciudad así pasa, desafortunadamente. Siempre que falta dinero, vamos sobre la gente, con los impuestos, con el agua, de alguna forma, a la gente siempre por malgastar, por lo que ha pasado en esta ciudad y el malgasto, y no nomás eso, por las cosas que no se han hecho, ¿verdad? En eso que hicimos este estudio, yo personalmente dije, a mí me encantó la idea de un estudio con que mantuviéramos la misma tarifa que ahorita, pero que la gente pagara lo que usan. Si una persona se va de vacaciones 2 meses, ¿por qué va a pagar $120 de agua? Deben de pagar lo que usaron. Eso es lo que yo pienso, yo creo que la mayoría de la gente me va a entender, pero no es lo que está sucediendo. Yo pienso que así debe de ser la cosa y pues aquí tenemos una situación bastante dura para nosotros porque este es un problema que nos cayó en nuestras manos a todos acá arriba, que realmente pasó en aquel entonces. Ustedes pueden hacer su tarea, quién estuvo aquí hace 9, 10 años, no les tengo que decir. Pero volvemos al tema, es difícil que ahora tenemos que ir a ustedes otra vez y pedirles más dinero, no se me hace justo. Y pues realmente espero que aquí el concilio podamos llegar a un acuerdo con la ciudadanía sobre este tema, porque yo en lo personal no miro que sea justo, ¿verdad? Pero ese es mi único comentario.
he escuchado ya por las últimas 2 semanas, yo creo, entre llamadas por teléfono o de cara a cara con muchos de ustedes y muchos que no están presentes, este estudio y la propuesta de los ajustes de pago de agua y de drenaje específicamente. Como en esta ocasión no se va a votar, como en esta ocasión se está platicando el tema, pero por errores de la ciudad que no se les avisó a tiempo y se va a volver a hacer otra junta el 27 de junio a las 6:30 de la tarde, yo siento que es muy importante el saber y el dar ejemplos específicos. Si yo gasto tanto y pago tanto ahorita, voy a seguir gastando lo mismo, ¿cuánto voy a pagar? Esa es la pregunta que yo creo que a mí en lo personal me han hecho fácilmente unas 25 veces en los últimos 2 semanas, y 25 es baja la mano. Entonces, como habló el señor Perrón, y lo voy a decir en otra forma, cuentas claras, amistades largas. Es muy importante que la ciudadanía sepa específicamente, basado en mi estado de cuenta de agua del mes de mayo, vamos a decir, ahorita me están cobrando tanto por agua, tanto por drenaje, tanto por basura, y la propuesta es, a un futuro voy a pagar tanto por agua, tanto por drenaje y tanto por basura. Ustedes lo van a poder ver en blanco y negro. Una familia que tiene un departamento, una familia de una persona que tiene una casa de 1,000 pies cuadrados en un terreno de 5,000, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. Dar ejemplos reales de la comunidad para que ustedes sepan si es una familia de 5, o es una familia de 2, o es una familia de 1, que sepan casi al dólar lo que van a pagar, comparación de lo que están pagando hoy en día. Yo creo que eso es lo más importante, lo más viable. Le pido al señor Teo, al señor Figueroa, que por favor para el 27 de junio lo tengan listo, con varios ejemplos de varias familias de aquí, sin desglosar nombres obviamente, pero ejemplos reales de lo que estamos pagando hoy en día y lo que vamos a pagar en un futuro. Vuelvo a lo mismo, lo que dijo el señor Real. ¿Cómo es justo que una señora que vive sola, que no tiene zacate, y paga $100 al mes por agua, basura y drenaje, y una familia de 7 que se bañan una vez a la semana y pagan $100 al mes?
Te dije que no dijeras eso.
No es el Mandy. Pero yo siento que eso es lo importante, que aclaremos como gente digna, como un concilio digno a ustedes, la comunidad, para que ustedes sepan específicamente lo que se está proponiendo. Porque ahorita siento que hay un nivel de nubeosidad, de gris, que no está claro. Y yo creo que esa claridad es lo más importante, que sepan específicamente lo que está pasando, por qué está pasando y lo que van a pagar si es que se aprueba. Gracias.
Y la última es que tenemos una planta de agua que no se ha cambiado, nomás cambian partes y no compran lo nuevo. Tenemos que mejorar ese sistema. Pero si no arreglamos esa planta de agua y metemos moderno, metemos computadoras, metemos lo nuevo, lo que se utiliza para mantener una ciudad. Esta planta, si se te cae, no va a haber agua, no va a haber presión, vas al toilet, bajas la palanquita y vas a mirar lo que miras quedándose allí, porque no tenemos presión y el sistema no está trabajando. Esto es lo principal, la planta de agua se tiene que mejorar. The bottom line is our water plant hasn't been updated, and we need to put in infrastructure there, put in new, bring it up to date, make sure that we have water pressure.
Comment?
Mr. Hodge?
That's true, Mayor Pro Tem, but again, not off the backs of working people. This is a real dilemma. At first, when I heard about we're going to do this rate study, my only concern was, who's going to get stuck with this? Who's going to get hurt? Who benefits, who doesn't? And during our discussions, it was made, or appeared to me that the working people would benefit from this. But now I want to thank Mr. Peroni with his comments today. Mr. Peroni, I have some reconsiderations. Councilman Real indicated, when we make mistakes, it's not fair for us to make you pay for it. It's not right. And so this is a dilemma, and there's going to have to be some more discussion and reconsideration. Anyway, that's how I feel about it. I'm not clear about this at all now. All right, thank you.
Well,
Mayor, can I say one last comment?
it's just a presentation, Mr. Real.
Nomás para terminar, en cuestión de conservar agua, mire, yo les voy a decir una cosa, y esto es algo que yo no sabía hasta que ya estando acá arriba haciendo la tarea, ¿no? 98% del agua que se usa en este valle se va a los files. Todos los humanos en el valle usan 2% del agua, así es que no me vengan con que conservar agua cuando allá lo están tirando a los files, pero sí, obviamente hay que conservar lo que podamos, pero llega un momento donde el Estado, no, pues no riegues tu zacate y no haces estas cosas. Yo en lo personal digo, cuando están tirando el agua por allá no podemos regar el zacate nosotros, también se me hace mal. Pero ojalá que, vuelvo a lo mismo, quiero aclarar, aquí todos los que estamos acá arriba, nos ha caído este problema en nuestras manos, vamos a tratar de resolverlo lo mejor que podamos, todos, aquí mis colegas y yo, pero que ustedes también trabajen con nosotros, que entiendan que es un problema que nos cayó y desafortunadamente pues vamos a trabajarlo duro. Gracias.
We're going to allow now for
Ahora que la
people,
gente hable.
ustedes, pero van a venir uno por uno. And well, Mr. Fisher, thank you. If we need your expertise, I know where you're sitting.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Alex Peroni?
Mayor Pro Tem, I think the city manager wants to make a couple of comments.
Just very quickly.
Alex Peroni?
He just left the building. Elvis, the city manager would like to make a comment.
To address some of,
Yes, I hope all of you can hear me here, but now I know that there's always there's reasons to increase water rates, but there's still something just not clear here. Algo que no está claro. Ahora, la ciudad de Calexico deriva su agua del IID, obviamente. Entonces, me gustaría saber cuánto les cobra el IID a ustedes por derivar esa agua. Y me gustaría, ahora, sé que se necesita ver cambios y se tiene que actualizar cierto equipo. Pero eso no explica, it doesn't explain. It still doesn't explain that do we have to go at this rate every 5 years? Well, there's no end in sight, no hay fin. O sea, eso es por 5 años y eso, como veo allí, obviamente, parece que va a ser el incremento cada año, subsecuentemente después de ahí. Ahora, eso tendría que tener una punta cada año, así, estamos aquí. Porque los precios también, pero no creo que a ese nivel. I don't believe that it's just, everything has to go up every year the way you guys are planning it, because the way you guys are exposing it right here. Because there's just no end in sight, it's going up and up and up. I mean, this could have been done, some management could have been done gradually over time. Se puede haberse hecho paulatinamente las cosas. Y como dijo Mr. Hodges, la ciudad, el pueblo no tiene que pagar esto. Pero esto no explica todos los ingresos de la ciudad, exactamente detalle por detalle. Cada número, porque así como esto, como obviamente, this is obviously whimsical, esto es caprichoso, aún así esto no explica. This still does not explain the meter removal fees. Por remover un medidor, por recuperar la propiedad de ustedes. O sea, que tenemos que pagar por cada acción administrativa de ustedes. O sea, sé que hay trabajo que hacer. There's work to be done by Public Works, but does it have por cerrar una cuenta? Ahí tiene que haber una cuota por cerrar cuentas. ¿Desde cuándo una entidad pierde dinero por cerrar una cuenta? O sea,
Por administrativamente, sé que se pierde un cliente ahí, pero administrativamente, administratively, since when do you lose money for just changing paperwork right there? I mean, the client's gone. Maybe that person moves out of the city or something, but for closing accounts, the disconnection fees, meter removal fees, it also doesn't make sense either.
Thank you. Mr. Dale?
Yeah, I just want to address something that Councilman Hodge had mentioned, that the rate structure as it is unsustainable, and it was discussed earlier. It was discussed earlier that the state of California does not support and it's not fair, and I think you mentioned it also, Councilman Real, the way our rate structure is, that if you use 1 unit a month, you still get charged for 30. And that part is not fair, and it doesn't promote conservation. I don't know if any of you are following, but it was discussed briefly about that we are in a drought. Well, we don't really see that here. We're always in a drought here, right? It never rains. But we are in a serious, serious drought. That Lake Mead, I've been following Lake Mead for 5 years. If anybody knows what Lake Mead is, that's the source of water that goes down the Colorado River. That's what we get our water from. Lake Mead is almost at the level where they start to declare an emergency shortage. Water, I would submit to you, is our most precious resource. If we turn off the water, I guarantee you will notice. What's more important than water? Nothing. We get raises in cable bills, we get raises in such, and yes, we grumble. But when water rates increase, then we really, really complain, and I get it, because a lot of people are on fixed income. But water is our most precious resource, and as the city manager, it's my responsibility to provide this community with the best water that we can possibly provide you. And that's what I'm proposing to do. I just got, when somebody came in here with their bill and they gave me, what would I be charged? And it was an elderly lady, and she gave me her bill. She uses 3 units a month, 3 units. Her water bill will now be $22. Yes, the water rates will go up, because now if you use more than 10 units, your rates will go up. But you have the opportunity and the choice to use less if you wish. And that's what I wanted. That's why I wanted to convey.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. Our next speaker, Ms.
Victor Rodriguez.
Victor Rodriguez.
Daniel Romero. Keith Charles. That was you, okay. Beatriz Romero. John Kim.
If I cannot talk next meeting, I'd rather talk next meeting. But meanwhile, I'm going to put my Facebook, all the city's water bill. They're getting the water service from the canal. They're throwing the water, all the sewer to the canal. And they throwing the trash to the street. They're charging $15, $15, $15. I think that's why they're getting paid about $56 whole total together. All the cities, I believe they water get from the canal directly and throwing dumping the sewer, and what's called the trash is $15. I believe they're throwing the trash all the streets.
Forget water.
I'm going to put in my Facebook.
That is all I have, sir, for the item.
Somebody would like to come forward? If you could just form a line, y así no hay problema. Una fila.
Mi nombre es
Take
Javier
you one at a
González.
time.
Javier González, 237 Hernández. Yo fui presidente de la Comisión de Finanzas con el señor Porni. Había 20 millones en ese fondo hace 2 o 3 años. Y no me vengan a nosotros del Kennedy Garden, porque nosotros ya no nos dejamos y hablamos todo porque nos han jodido muchas veces. Se les avisó a ustedes mucho tiempo en que se estaba perdiendo el dinero, desde que entraron cada uno, no digan que no. Estaban moviéndole, manipulando ahí de la presión y cada weekend andaban arreglando sus fuguitas, venían compañías de afuera y también estaba todo el City ahí. Y ahí se fue todo el dinero y se les dijo a cada uno que estaban metiendo overtime de más. Nomás se quebraron las pipas los puros weekends. Qué casualidad. Eso no digan que a nadie se le avisó. A cada uno se le avisó. Había 20 millones hace dos años ahí. No se arregló nada. Ahora, dijo usted que nuevas cosas? ¿Qué pasa? Nuevos empleados. Si ganaron mucho tiempo overtime, ¿qué nos dice que no lo van a volver a hacer? Nadie nos pudo parar. ¿Qué dice? Que se junta otra vez el dinero y lo vuelven a hacer. Y se quieren el dinero.
Thank you.
I just want to say a few thoughts in regards to this process. In terms of, I agree with Mr. Escobar in that examples should have been provided of, for example, in your handouts or your mail-outs that you gave, examples of people, without names, of course, but of examples of water usage from that lady who only uses 3 centimeters of cubic centimeter or cube, whatever the unit is, to other people, various people, and so that a comparison of what they pay now and what now they would be paying with these new rates, so that people can have more of a realistic idea, clear picture of how they're going to be affected. I agree with that. And also, the way, what I also want to point out is the way you send out the information with the famous tables, it just didn't make sense. It just frankly didn't make sense. You didn't do a good job, I believe. You could have done a better job in expressing, in conveying the information about this, because the tables, we looked at them and they just didn't make sense, okay? So that needs to be, next time you give out information in regards to something like this, make sure the information is a little more clear, something that the common man can understand. Okay, so that I wanted to express. And so basically, we need to have a clear picture by examples. Oh, and also one last point. The idea is that we have computers. And I'm sure that the people have here some of the grandest computer, fastest computer around. Now, why do I say that? Well, because then what you can do is come up with a average of how much a typical water bill is going to go up. You can have at least a ballpark idea. You know, your water bill is going to go up 5%, 10%. First year about 10%. Second year about another 5%, whatever. But the point is that by number crunching, I'm sure that you could have given us a clear picture as to how the typical average bill is going to go up. So that's what I want to put. If you wanted to make a good feedback, you got to inform the public in the right way, or in a more clear way. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yo nada más tengo 2 preguntas para el señor que hizo el estudio. Y han hecho, ¿por qué comparan Calexico con todas esas ciudades? Cada ciudad es diferente y sus habitantes son diferentes. Ahora, si se hace el incremento, como dijo el señor, que no está nada claro, nomás mandaron números, ¿quién nos garantiza que lo que vamos a pagar se va a usar verdaderamente en lo que dice ahí que lo van a usar? ¿Quién nos va a garantizar que en 9 años no van a hacer lo mismo? ¿Quién los va a fiscalizar? Entonces, ya son muchos los que le están diciendo que se está malgastando el dinero. ¿Cuánto le pagaron al señor por que hiciera el estudio? ¿Quién lo va a pagar? El contribuyente, como siempre. Yo nada más son esas dos preguntas y lo mismo. Porque si yo gasto menos agua, voy a pagar más que lo que gastan más. Gracias.
If I read it correctly, everyone now pays $43.89. The average bill, from what they said, when this is implemented, is going to go up to $59.03. You know what kind of increase that is? Anyone figure that out? That's a 34% increase in the average. That's a 34% increase. Is anyone going to stand up for a 34% increase in their cable bill? Salary, please. Salary, please. Salary. Right? 34% increase in the average. If you use 30 units, you pay $43.89. If you use 30 units with this new fee, you're going to pay $77. Come on, think about that. That's a 75% increase in your bill. How many people here use 3 units? You have to use 10 units to break even. Does anyone here use 10 units? Check your last bill. Does anyone use 10 units? I'm with 2 people. I use 24 units. 34% increase in the average. I thought you said we needed a 5% increase in the revenue. 5% increase. How do you justify a 34% increase in the average if you only need a 5% increase in the revenue?
Your name?
Thank you.
Terrazas. Buenas tardes, soy la señora Lilia Terraza, residente aquí de Calexico, y vengo a exponer mi inconformidad de ese aumento de agua, y aparte que nos van a poner los medidores, y yo he visto que aquí el campo de aquí de Calexico, de aquí de la 98, están llenos de paneles solares, ya no es tanto como se va a tirar tanta agua, será eso, y vengo a hacer mi inconformidad sobre eso, de que no estoy de acuerdo en ese aumento de los paneles del agua, y yo pienso que nos van a cobrar los medidores, y todo eso no estoy conforme. Gracias y buenas tardes.
My name is Eligio Alvarez. I'm a resident of Calexico for 39 years. And with all due respect to the person that did this program, I would like to understand how the city is going to increase revenue when some of the citizens are going to be saving. I don't understand that. How did the city going to increase revenue if most of the citizens, like me, I don't consume that three units? I need an explanation. And also, why don't you just open an account for the water and sewer and don't put it on the general fund so that money cannot be spent on overtime? Well, those people don't speak English, I can translate very easy. Si la ciudad de Calexico abriera una cuenta para que pusiera los gastos de consumo de agua y del sewer, en vez de ponerlo en el general fund, en vez de pagar overtime a los empleados de la ciudad de Calexico, que se pague lo que se tiene que pagar. la mitad o la mayoría de todos los contribuyentes o residentes de Calexico no pagamos 3 unidades. Aquí está la mía y les traigo todo un libro que tengo en mi casa como 3 años. Cuando quieran. Los empleados del agua no creo que se han gastado tanto dinero. Los empleados no creo que se hayan gastado tanto dinero en eso. Más bien se gastó en lo que le tuvieron que pagar al city manager por la demanda que nos metió.
¿Otra persona tiene un comentario? Okay, thank you.
Guadalupe Alonso, I'm also a resident, I hate these things. I'm also a resident in Calexico. I think that one of the main things that I would like to suggest to the council is the clearness of things. The people need to be clear on many things, you know. They need to be clear on why the rates are coming up, or what does it mean that the city needs revenue, you know, of a 5% or whatever percent. I mean, and I would suggest, and I know I'm not a council member or anything, but I would suggest to the council that you hold a town hall meeting, a public town hall meeting, kind to explain to all the residents, you know, what this is all about, before you take any votes, any actions, just to explain it. Or use the TV or whatever you need to use, but make it just like we had the presentation today. I guess if people would have this presentation in a clearer way, they would not be so upset of what is going on. I think that that's one of the main things that I would like to see from the council. Maybe you can hold it in a public place. If you want to use the church, you know, whatever you need. But make it an effort so that the people, not just the ones that are here, but your whole, you know, the whole town knows that this is going on and they need information. That's one. And the other one is, once you take a decision, if you really need to make, you know, all these changes, and I understand because it's true, when you don't fix your house, you know, and it starts deteriorating, you know, it's not good. In the long run, it costs you more. And I understand that with the sewer and the water dam and everything. But it also needs to be clear to the public what you are doing. So when you make all these plans of what you're going to renew, how many employees you're going to use, what is going to be their hourly rate, the people need to know those things. And I think it hasn't happened. I mean, I haven't gotten any news on that. So, and I know that you hold your, you know, that there's a planning commission that holds meetings. And I hate to say this, but sometimes I've been in this same room, and there's only 5 people in here from the public. You know, the word doesn't get out until the very end when things are happening. So I think that we need also to take responsibility as public, that, you know, that we need to be here. We need to listen to what they're doing, and they represent us. And so we also have a responsibility. So if I'll just say this, let's have some kind of a public presentation on this. And not just with the people that are here, but with all our constituents, so that there's clear understanding of what's going on, what the needs are. You know, people need to know what needs to be repaired.
More transparency.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need that.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you. We'll have one more speaker, and then we'll have some comments on this side.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Leticia Aldana Cota. And I'm going to speak in Spanish this time. Yo estoy un poquito confusa, porque estoy escuchando a estoy escuchando que dicen que es para ahorrar dinero, para que las personas, que la comunidad de Calexico ahorre dinero y no pague agua de más. Pero también estoy escuchando que ese no va a ser el caso. Estoy escuchando que se dijo que tenemos una infraestructura que no se ha arreglado en quién sabe qué tanto número de años. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué no se ha hecho eso? Tanta construcción que se ha permitido hacer en la ciudad de Calexico, ¿por qué no se cobró impuestos? Que estoy casi segura que se ha de haber cobrado. No sé, no puedo decir que se malgastó ese dinero, pero ¿qué pasó? ¿Por qué no se arregló? Porque es que ahora que la ciudad desafortunadamente y tristemente se encuentra en la situación crítica de que viven día al día con su presupuesto, quieren que la pobre gente pague, no es justo. Tienen que analizarlo y tienen que pensarlo y tienen que planearlo para el futuro. Una persona delante de mí dijo, ¿qué nos garantiza que en realidad eso vamos a pagar? ¿Qué nos garantiza cuánto de nosotros que no somos una persona? Pero hay que recordar, en realidad no hay una sola persona que viva sola. Tiene la persona que viene y le ayuda, tiene el familiar que viene y se queda a dormir con ellos o los familiares y que consumen agua. Tenemos que ser honestos y decir la verdad. ¿Saben qué? Estamos totalmente quebrados y necesitamos que nos den la mano ustedes. Porque eso es lo que para mí me parece. Desafortunadamente. Y no es justo, porque el pueblo va a pagar los errores, no de ustedes necesariamente, pero de administraciones pasadas. No es justo. Gracias.
Mr. Castro, we'll take that last comment and then we'll el último, pero ya sabes.
Está bueno, gracias. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Luis Castro, vivo aquí en Calexico, tengo 45 años aquí en Calexico. Un comentario que quiero hacer, en el 2012 el IID redució a todas las ciudades, redució el acre cúbico cuadrado en general, para todo el condado. Ellos tuvieron de acuerdo en reducir, estaban cobrando $60, gracias, estaban cobrando $60 por acre pie cuadrado a todas las ciudades. Y ellos tomaron la decisión de reducirlo a $20. Esos $20, ellos estuvieron de acuerdo porque en eso se lo están vendiendo a los agricultores. Disculpen, a los agricultores. Entonces quiere decir que en el 2012 hasta ahorita, el 2018, hace 6 años que todas las ciudades estamos recibiendo un subsidio del IID. Nos bajaron el 200%. Eso nos benefició a todas las ciudades. Entonces quiere decir que nosotros como ciudad nos ahorramos dinero, ¿verdad? Entonces, nosotros somos una ciudad pobre. La mayoría ganan el mínimo. Entonces, cualquier incremento que queramos apoyar, que el concilio apoye en incrementar a esta comunidad, que es una comunidad pobre, nos va a afectar. Yo creo que hay otras maneras de buscar, cómo buscar para ayudar a restablecer lo que es la planta de agua. Otro tema que también quiero comentar, aquí hay como aproximadamente unos 10 proyectos de personas de tercera edad. Esos proyectos de tercera edad, el residente, las personas no pagan agua, los pagan los propietarios, y esos propietarios están tomando subsidios. Ellos toman subsidios. Entonces, vuelvo a comentar lo mismo, afectar a esta comunidad pobre, creo que no es correcto. Ese es mi comentario y muchas gracias.
Okay, Mr. Campos, you wish to address some items or some?
Yeah, I just want to clarify for the record, one point that was made is that any funds that are generated for any sort of water service fees need to be used within the water enterprise, which means by law, those funds cannot be transferred to the general fund.
No.
So any of, I think there was a comment on that. Además, quería clarificar un punto que se hizo ahorita, que los fondos que vienen de lo que uno paga para el agua, esos fondos nomás por ley se pueden usar para el Departamento de Agua, no se pueden mover a los fondos generales de la ciudad. Y eso es ley establecido. Que yo sepa, no, el pasado no estaba aquí, pero que esto aquí, y por ley es muy rígido. Y es lo que, y hay muchas decisiones de las cortes que han implementado ese prohibido uso de los fondos del agua para fondos generales de la ciudad. Gracias.
13 millones. No, son 13 millones.
Y la junta también, la junta que viene el miércoles que viene, va a haber una junta también de los diferentes fondos de la ciudad y se van a presentar los fondos del agua, el drenaje y también los fondos generales. Y entonces va a ser informativa. El miércoles que viene. Yeah, at this point, I think at this point, we've heard public comment. We have a public hearing because we did provide
¿No hay más
Prop 218
comentarios?
notice.
Vamos a cerrar la.
No, we're going to keep the public hearing open. We're going to continue the public hearing to June 27th at 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
So we need a motion for that in a second.
We're going to move forward then and make a new schedule for the 27th. El plan es tener la junta el 27. Si se hace, ahí le vamos a comunicar si se va a hacer o no. Pero cambiamos la fecha de hoy para el 27. Si hay cambios, los vamos a cambiar.
Pero una junta informativa ocupamos antes o el 27.
¿Está bien? Está bien. An informative meeting to, as I was saying, to address the
And
issue.
the reason we need to continue to a date certain is because we provided 45-day notice, and in order not to have to provide another 45 days, it was very expensive. We need to continue to a date certain right now.
We're going to do the next, the waste,
Trash.
Trash is next.
Trash next.
So what I need right now is a motion
We're
and a
gonna
second.
close.
We're going to keep the public hearing open. I need
Okay.
a motion
Okay.
to continue to
Make a motion to keep the public hearing open
and continue June 27th at
to June
6:30
27th at 6:30 p.m.
p.m.
Is there a second to the motion to continue on the 27th?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
27th. If I said 26th, next Wednesday, June 27th.
At 6:30, not 5.
6:30, correct. Next Wednesday.
Y gracias. Thank you for showing up. Mr. Dale, we have item 17. Continue with that, or is that?
Yes, that was correct. That showed 6:30.
That one's been, we continue with that.
Sorry? No, no.
We're gonna go into another hearing on the trash.
Yeah, and then we still have to.
City manager, Dale. Is it going to be just the water on the 27th, or we're going to do
Water and sewer.
water and sewer?
Water and sewer.
Trash is
Tonight.
when? Tonight?
Tonight.
Right now.
Number 17, that's.
All right. Yeah. All right, council, if they can continue with the meeting, council.
It's almost done. It's almost done.
Okay,
I told them
Let's
already.
continue.
It's almost done.
we're going to continue with our agenda.
It's here. We just
If you bear with us, we're going now to public hearing. Item number 17. We're going to adopt a resolution adopting fees and charges for solid waste and making certain findings and taking certain actions related thereto.
Mayor Pro
Item
Tem?
17.
No.
Mayor?
No. You mean 17 is the presentation and the public hearing that's going to open right now?
That's the trash. That's not the water anymore.
But make clear that that was properly noted.
But somebody just said that they would address this along with the water on the 27th.
No, this
This
is a separate
item was
issue.
properly noticed. This had the correct time, this notice. There were two separate notices.
She's asking sewer and water. She got sewer and water.
Sewer and water are delayed for another week.
Ms. Alonso, did you hear the clarification by the city manager?
I understand that there were two separate items. I do understand that. But somebody just said that on the 27th you were going to address the 16th and 17th, which is not right, right?
No, correct. It'll just be sewer and water.
Working on the 17th right now, on the sewer and solid waste.
Correct.
Correct.
Just the solid waste,
Not sewer.
not sewer. Okay, we're going to open this public hearing at 8:34, and the item is to adopt a resolution adopting fees and charges for solid waste
What number is that, sir?
and making certain findings and taking
17.
certain actions related. Do we have a presentation?
There's no presentation. I can address this.
Mr. Dale?
Okay, so in 1997, the city entered into a contract with our solid waste provider that's currently working in the city. Part of that contract includes the increase every year due to what they call the CPI, the inflation rate, which varies between 2% and 3%, as we had alluded to in the prior item. Things go up, prices go up, and so in our contract, it includes this. We are required by Prop 218 to bring this as a public hearing. This item is requested for the next 5 years as the CPI, the published CPI, per our agreement. I might add that our current provider, his contract ends in December of 2019.
So the rate will only be for about a year and a half, or?
We put it in for 5 years, but at that time, we'll have a new, potentially, rate.
Correct. This is standard. If you look at any city's agenda currently right now, even in Imperial County, you'll see that there'll be a CPI rate adjustment in all these franchise agreements. It's very standard.
And this is contractual.
This is
This is
contractual.
a contract that we've made with this company.
Yes. Technically, we should have brought this to you in November or earlier in the calendar year 2017. So this is, per our agreement, we have not been paying what we should have, so this is retroactive to January,
18.
yes, 2018.
What is the cost?
We think it's in here. The current rate is $18.60, and it would increase to $19.35. Residential.
So we're talking about $1.50, basically.
75 cents?
No, it's not.
75
It's less
cents.
than $1.
75 cents.
75 cents. Increase of 75 cents.
Correct. And so in January of 2019, when we find out what the CPI is, it will go up again by 2% or whatever the CPI is. Yes.
We have a speaker. Is somebody wants to address this issue?
Mr. Kim?
Okay, it's misinforming the community right now, and they have like only for the contract ends up at 19. So they don't talking about the extend the contract, they're going to be big hike. They're not saying anything on this. And according to the papers you guys send us, it's going up a big hike. And I understand the council approved the last couple meetings ago, and I believe that one has to be new contract answered. We have to open to the public, to the whoever lowest bidding to us, the charging, we should go for that.
Agreed.
But you guys, council, just extending the what's called the trash company, another 5 years extended. So this one is hearing there, but it's not informing to the community only for the 2 years. But they don't say anything about the increasement of the extension of the contract and increase when the new contract with the increased rate, and not mentioning. This is the misleading the community.
No,
And,
their contract, Mr. Kim, is up 2019.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, but they already have
It'll
extension. Expire, but you guys have been extended 5 years.
Not this time around, no. No.
There's a request for proposal.
Okay? So
Can you clear that?
we should open to the public to open bidding process to
And that's
get the
correct.
charge cheaper.
That's correct.
And that's what's
That
gonna
has to
happen.
be go there.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
And I have a complaint and I have a request. Today, council member Jesus Escobar called me liar. He was saying the people, I signed the paper about raising the trash. So I'm requesting the city to have a document which I signed the paper to raising the trash. Okay? Openly I'm requesting. If not, you guys have a lawsuit, the defamation of the characters. And the trash, their proposal was very high hikes for the new, the price and the extended contract. Now they're changing the words, so we're not making decision again and yet. So I urge it to you guys to open the bidding to the public. When I was council member, when I was mayor, Mr. Jesus Escobar came twice to me to extend the contract and the change of the rate. I said, you guys have been changing, charging too much. And when they have a contract, the rate was charged it for the 2 times a week rate. And suddenly, they made a good deal with the council members, and they pick up only 1 time, and they still charging higher, getting hikes every year. So they supposed to have enough room. And I believe that other trash company charging a lot cheaper than online waste.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Your
Thank
3 minutes are up. Thank you.
You want me to address? Would you like me to address
Mr.
that?
Dale?
Yes, so in Mr. Kim, you are absolutely right. We do have every intention to go to a proposal to get the best rate for the people, but this is our contract now, so we have to address our issues now. But we do plan to do that. Thank you.
This is a contractual issue that we need to address. Any other comments from the city council? Is there a motion to accept?
We have another public comment, it looks like.
Oh, I'm sorry.
City manager, can you
That-
give us
that'll-
you can give us an idea right now what that contract is, right?
Well,
Ballpark?
what it costs now compared to other cities? Yeah,
no,
we're-
just in general, what we pay for that service a year. It's how much is it?
Oh, it's, we pay about 108,000 a month.
108,000 a month.
That's
So you're
subtracting.
talking about 1.2 million.
It's about
ballpark.
1.8 actually, because we have franchise fees and so
Okay.
forth that we subtract.
So 1.8 million a year. That's what
In
we pay.
residential only, residential.
Residential. Okay.
So that was the question, and I believe the answer is around 1.8 million a year. And if we take franchise fees off that, so we pay the company about 145,000 a month, something like that. But again, it's a pass-through. The city doesn't get any profit. We don't take anything. It's a pass-through.
Pretty much pay what they charge us.
Their services.
Yeah.
Pay for the services. Okay. There's no other speakers. We're going to close this session.
And just real quick, and the company we have right now is Republic, correct?
Yes. Allied Republic, yes.
Okay. Any discussion with city council?
We have another public comment, it looks like.
I'm sorry.
Sí, buenas tardes. Si no escuché mal, dijeron que el contrato de la basura tenía unos incrementos del 1 al 2% anual. Así fue, ¿verdad?
No, es dependiendo de lo que es Consumer Price Index, que viene siendo CPI. En veces en un año puede subir 1.5%, en otros años puede subir 3%. O sea, it's based on a CPI
Depende.
index,
Va a
right?
depender.
Ok.
No
pero,
depende de nosotros, sino que
pero el contrato originalmente eran 2 veces por semana y desde el momento en que ustedes no lo cambiaron, el 1 o el 2% se volvió al 50%.
Eso, a lo menos desde que yo tengo aquí, siempre ha sido una vez. Ese contrato tiene más de 10 años. It's been like 10 years, right?
Yep.
Volvemos a lo mismo, cosas que pasaron hace 10 años.
It's almost 20
Además estaba incluido la recolección de la limpieza de calles. Antes iba 2 veces por semana, después 1 vez por semana y ahora no va a ningún lado.
Eso
lo hace la ciudad.
La ciudad tiene una persona que maneja ese tipo de máquina. Y si lo miras, por favor, dime dónde lo miraste porque...
Pues no lo
que
miro,
venga a mi
señor.
casa.
No lo miro por ningún lado.
Mándalo para mi casa.
Gracias.
Ok. Tenemos una persona que hace el trabajo. Okay, we're going to call for the question. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're going to, we've adopted the resolution adopting fees and charges for solid waste and
Motion
making
to
certain
adjourn.
finding and taking certain actions. Pass.
Thank you.
No second?
Second.
No, we have some other items.
No, we have a presentation.
We have some serious, important items that we need to address here.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so if we can now go back to the consent calendar part of the agenda, starting with.
Coffee break.
We could take a 5-minute break.
Mr. Vera, you need a break? You need a break? You need to move around?
5 minutes.
Dan, you need to move around? You need to move?
Fine.
Good.
A motion for a 5-minute break.
We'll take a little break, 5-minute break.
All right.
We're going to take a break, 5-minute break, and then we're going to get back to the regular agenda. Thank you for still
Yes.
staying with us.
You're gonna take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, 5-minute break.
We're actually gonna get to work now?
Yeah, now we got the serious business. We're going to reopen our meeting and get into the consent agenda. We're gonna bypass city comments and city manager's report because I think we've already extended our meeting.
Yeah,
We'll do that next time.
yeah, I don't, go ahead.
Thank you.
Move forward.
We need approval for consent agenda 6 through 10. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve 6 through 10?
Your second?
Give me a second. I just have a question on item 8. I think
Motion to
Chief-
approve 6, 7, 9, and 10?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On item 8, I had a question regarding this COPS grant. As far as us being, are we back on with them? So I guess we were, according to my knowledge,
They're-
we weren't receiving those monies.
They were back, they owe us for 2 years?
So what happened is, in 2016, it was never collected, and then we partially collected the 2016 and 2016-17 year. So once we collect this, we'll be back on track.
Okay.
And I'm working with the county to try to get a date where they would have all the monies available. That way I don't have to come to council twice a year or 3 times a year to try to draw down.
Okay.
They explained to us that it does not get deposited all at one time, it trickles in.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, hopefully we'll have a for sure date, maybe it'll be January 1st when we get the full amount, or January 30th when we get the full amount, but the money is there. And it might be a little bit less, there'll be years that might be 93,000, there might be other years that it's 120,000.
So this is based on narcotic seizures?
And no, this is money based, no, somebody, no, because I thought you wanted to ask me something. This is money based on, the state allocates a certain percentage of money to every city based on their size of city, but nobody gets more than $100,000.
Okay, I think I'm mistaken this with, there's monies that comes from LA Impact, right? It's a
Okay.
different one.
So you're talking about asset forfeiture monies.
Asset forfeiture, okay.
So asset forfeiture monies, hopefully, once we get back on board, in the future, we're going to see some of that money start trickling in once I put officers back in task forces.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, so let's call for the...
Motion to approve item 8.
Let's call for the question.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Consent agenda approved. Now we're going to go to item number 11.
We're going to open up the Calexico redevelopment successor
Oh,
agency.
this is now another hat. We're going to reconvene as the Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, and we're going to discuss 4 items. The first one is item 11. Approve a resolution and corresponding actions of the successor agency to the Community Redevelopment Agency regarding the issuance of one or more series of subordinate tax allocation refunding bonds, the bonds on a tax-exempt and/or are taxable basis to provide for refinancing for the following tax allocation bonds.
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, as you are probably aware, we're looking under every rock to find whatever revenue we can for the general fund revenue. This is one method that we can potentially save $200,000 for next fiscal year and probably $135,000 for the following years. Those are estimated values as I understand it. And being that the case, I'm obviously in favor of saving as much money as we can for the general fund. So that's what this is about.
I have a question. Do we, Attorney, do we actually make this motion as 11-12 or separate motions?
These are separate.
Separate motions.
Separate motions,
And
okay.
we'll hear the items separately as well.
Well, I'm all for saving money, so
Well, it's going to help our debt service.
Estimated $200,000 for next fiscal year, so
make
that
a
wasn't,
motion.
I don't think that was even counted in the budget numbers you heard last time.
It says 100,000 our disclosure.
Okay.
What?
Current estimates indicate potential savings of approximately 100,000 per year initially with gradual increases topping at 500,000.
Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, looking at that item today, it was 96,000 the first year, Dan, is that correct? And then 135,000 years after. And then later on, as you had mentioned, 500,000, but that doesn't come until 2030 or something like that. Okay.
Is there, as far as saving the money, but what is the cost yearly as far as, for servicing and, let's say, closing costs or anything like that as far as, yeah?
There's an outline on page Exhibit 8, A1.
Good evening, I guess you're the Board of Directors right now. Mr. Board of Director, let's see, so, yeah, as Mr. Dale mentioned, there are outstanding bond issues from the redevelopment agency that can be refinanced. The redevelopment agency is now, the debt is serviced and all obligations are paid through a trust fund that is administered by the County of Imperial. The city of Calexico is one of the taxing entities that has its property taxes allocated away to the former redevelopment agency, among other agencies like the county and the school district. So any money that trust fund pays out when it's reduced, when there are less debt service payments, all the affected entities benefit. The city of Calexico would benefit to the tune of approximately, next year would be about $196,000. And when I say next year, I mean literally the fiscal year about to start.
July 1st.
On July 1st, we'll have a advantage of about $196,000.
This is money that goes to general fund?
That'll go right to the general fund as a residual distribution from the redevelopment property tax trust fund. So it's essentially the same as an increase in
Property
the
tax.
share of the 1% property tax levy that Calexico would otherwise receive. Exactly. It's a pretty straightforward process. Before you're denied are the documents that need to be sent to the Oversight Board for their approval, and then they would be further sent to the Department of Finance to get the process officially started. Over the course of the summer, the finance team would develop the bond issuance itself, and we'll come back to this board with a offering document for your review and approval. And that process will probably take place in August to early September, depending on how long the state takes to review the request. The annual payments in terms of the bonds themselves, since that was the question you asked, it's a little skewed because there are other outstanding bond issues that this issue will kind of wrap around. So they start off about $500,000 a year, and they peak at about $1.8 million and then drop off again to about $500,000 a year. Through the term of the bonds as they are outstanding, there's no extension of the outstanding term. It's the exact same repayment structure. It's a uniform repayment structure, meaning that they're uniformly reducing the payments. We are uniformly reducing the payments in any given year. If you were paying $100,000, then you're going to pay $75,000 in that year, and uniform throughout the curve. It's because we have low interest rates right now, the long-term rates are still low, we're able to take advantage of this circumstance and save basically not only the city, but also the other affected entities that are members or parts of or affected by the redevelopment agency. They will also be saving some money as well.
Okay.
I'll make a motion
Any
to
questions?
approve
There's a
item
motion?
11.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Dan,
Thank you.
next one affect you, or?
I'll make,
Well, let me read it.
Okay.
The approval of a resolution for the Board of Directors of the successor agency to the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Calexico approving a purchase sale agreement between the successor agency and the city regarding 307 and 333 Cesar Chavez Boulevard, Calexico, California. Mr. Dale?
On that matter, I just want to say that this is one of the few remaining RDA properties that the city still has. And with the intent of what we're going to see with Cesar Chavez expanding, there's obviously an opportunity in terms of some business economic growth for that area for the city. As it is right now, the city's going through a subdivision process of that particular strip on Cesar Chavez that's owned by the city. And with that in mind, what you have here in front of you is how we will be able to continue to look at those opportunities. That is why that this is being brought forth to you as the successor agency. And on that note, David, is there anything you want to add to that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Just want to make for the record that I think hopefully we can take these properties the city still owns. I know that we owned a lot more in the past, and unfortunately they got sold off. But we need all the help we can get, and maybe these properties can help us now that Cesar Chavez is going to be the main corridor. That's about it.
Well done.
Okay, item number 14.
This is where we got to
13.
reconvene
I'm
back
sorry.
into the city council. Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, city council,
Now we're going to
reconvene.
change hats and go back to city council. So this is now the same item, but under the auspices of their Calexico City Council.
Yep.
Item 13, to approve a resolution to the city of Calexico and the city of Calexico approving a purchase and sale agreement between the successor agency and the city regarding 307/333 Cesar Chavez Boulevard, Calexico, California, APN 058-400-061. Basically the same thing, but now.
It's the same item,
it's-
obviously the same purpose, but now
under-
you
under
folks
the
wearing
city.
the hat of the city
We're-
council.
We're going to accept it now as a city.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Item 14, award the bid proposal from Granite Construction in the amount of $5,957,460, based on bid plus $201,875,000.
How much, I have a question. How much of this is actual city money?
None, zero. This is all either grants or Measure D or SB1.
Just for the-
But what I
for the
would like to request, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, if we can continue this one more time, we did get information from Caltrans about the good faith efforts, and it was, we still need some more.
I will make a motion to
Insight.
continue this item.
So then we'll table the item and bring it back.
Correct.
Okay.
Motion to continue?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Being that that's the last item, that we kind of did a reversal with our agenda, we're going to adjourn into closed session. We're going to adjourn to closed
I
session.
feel like we
Thank
should
you.
do the flag salute again or something.
Mr. Servin? You have a comment?
My name is Ricardo Servin. I have a paper I feel right now. Look at some cats. Behind my house, some people used to live by a canton terrace. They moved. 15 cats were still there. But they went to my house now. And one of the cats was killed by a car about 4 weeks ago. Yesterday, 2 cats were killed again. 2 days ago, when I turned on my car, one of the cats was inside more than my car and ran. Because I got a tail of the cat with my car. Every time it passes, there's more cats in my house. One of the cats had 3 liters,
Kittens?
Litters.
Yeah. Now I had 25 cats down in my house. I talked to the dog catcher. I talked to Dale, and I talked to Charlo. Charlo told me that there was a promise that they were going to pay the cats. They're going to send them back to my house. I don't want more cats in my house. I'm going to take care of that problem because
Yes, 25 cats is too many, and they're not yours.
Chalo, do we have a dog we can lend them?
We can look into the issue.
As you may remember, a few months ago, we had the issue with regard to the public
Cats are a
comments.
problem. I mean,
Catch and release.
Yeah.
in the TNR and all this stuff, it quite simply, there is just absolutely
TNR.
zero money to institute a program like that at this time is not feasible. It's extremely expensive. And if we're gonna pick up the cats and euthanize them, that's another issue with the public. And so that also comes with a cost. So we do have a meeting with some cat people. And no
They
no
actually were-
disrespect,
they were here,
obviously.
they were
Right.
here, but
and-
they left
and-
early.
and I-
Intervene, we'll look into the issue because it's not fair that you get this nice population of tomcats.
Yeah. Mira, take us to Mr. Ruby Wong, you cook over there.
We did discontinue picking up any cats until next fiscal year until we could.
Okay.
It's a finance thing.
I don't know if
at
we
this
can
point.
erase that from
It's a
the.
big problem.
Yes, it is. Thank you. We're going to convene and we're going to go to closed session. Thank you for staying.